Welcome to Mythic Audiobooks. Today's story takes us to the perilous ninja world, where Kirigakure faces an unusual challenge, a love strategy system that seems determined to complicate his life. With his targets being some of Konoha's most iconic women and the shadow of war looming, he must navigate a path filled with unexpected twists and tough choices. Now, before we dive in, if you enjoy these audiobooks, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an upload. And if you'd like to support me in creating more of these stories, consider heading over to my Patreon. Your support truly means the world. Thank you. Alright, let's get started. Chapter 1. Ninja World, Water Country, Kirigakure. In the clan territory of the Kirigakure clan, the 17-year-old boy Kirigakure Zangetsu walked towards home. He had fair skin, delicate features, and handsome appearance. At this time, his face was expressionless and his eyes were calm. However, Kirigakure Zangetsu's heart was not as calm as it seemed on the surface. Because the clan leader of the Kirigakure clan just announced a very important thing. At 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 2/3 of the Kirigakure clan ninjas will follow the Kirigakure troops to cross the sea to the west and go to the Land of Fire. Fifth Mizukage Terumi Mei made a decision that Kirigakure will participate in this ninja world war and will launch an attack on Konoha. The third ninja world war is finally here. And Kirigakure Zangetsu is one of the people who went on this expedition. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danza, Namikaze Minato, Orochimaru, might die. Familiar names flashed in Kirigakure Zangetsu's mind. These people are all enemies of Kirigakure Zangetsu. There are also Tsunade, Uchiha Mikoto, Uzumaki, Kurenai, Shizune. These characters that Zangetsu Hoseki has long admired and coveted are also his enemies. As for Zangetsu Hoseki's teammates, who are they? What about Zigushin Futagu, Kurisan Kushimaru, Mori Shinpeki, Biwachozo, Kuroki Riga, and so on? Not very clear, irrelevant. I don't know if I can stand it. With a deep sigh in his heart, Zangetsu Hoseki quickly put his mood back. He is a Kirigakure ninja, and a member of the Zangetsu clan. This identity cannot be changed for the time being. In this era, he is destined not to be friends with those people in Konoha, but only enemies. This is fate, and it is difficult to resist. Since fate is difficult to resist, we can only accept it honestly. Isn't it just a ninjutsu doctor, a yellow flash, a sunin, or a super genius they are all carrying a head on two shoulders, who is afraid of who? Anyway, I, Hoseki Zangetsu, will never meet those gods and monsters of yours. After all, I am just a small chonin in Kirigakure. If I can't beat you, can I still survive? Not possible. Thinking about his years of hiding his strength and the family secrets that he has practiced for a long time, thinking that he should have the strength of an elite JA. Nin, at least a JA. Nin, Hoseki Zangetsu proudly straightened his chest. But he immediately shrugged it down again. It's still not enough. In this pitfall world, no one can avoid the catastrophe that will happen in the future. After all, even if you escape Shippuden, there is still Boruto. Boruto has not been completed yet, who knows if there will be any terrible wars in the future. In this world, only those who are strong enough to step on Aoi Satsuki, can dare to say that they can protect themselves. This is undoubtedly difficult as ascending to the sky. Throughout the entire ninja world, there are only a few who can fight with Aoi Satsuki, and there is no one who can defeat Aoi Satsuki. After all, the blood gap between the two sides is simply an insurmountable gap. The upper limit of the human beings in the ninja world is just the lower limit of the Aoi Satsuki clan. But it doesn't a Euro trademark T matter, I have a plug-in. Gui Denkengyu is proud in his heart. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west, don't a Euro trademark T bully the poor young. When I level up and get equipped, I will kill you all. Gui Denkengyu was angry. But this time, he felt a little guilty. After all, looking at his pit system, Gui Denkengyu couldn't a Euro trademark T help but feel sad. Hello everyone, this man is called Zyogui. In this ninja world where everyone dies, he brings a system called love strategy and plans to have a warm and sweet love with a group of outstanding and beautiful women. A magical sound rang in his mind, and Gui Denkengyu shook his head to wake himself up. But looking at the character cards displayed in the target selection, Kirigakure would rather not wake up. In that case, he would not have to face the cruel reality. Tsunade, Uchiha Mikoto, Uzumaki Choksigna, Shizune, Kurenai. No, I am from Kirigakure. You want me to capture the women of Konoha and fall in love with them? System, are you sick? Do you look down on my future Fifth Mizukage Terumi Mei, or do you look down on the many little beauties of my big Miss Shinobi? If you have the ability, change my identity and let me go to Konoha. Kirigakure roared in his heart. However, the system was not moved at all, and was as calm as a corpse. Ha! Little idiot. After despising his own system, Kirigakure thought seriously. He was directly born, and the system was just activated by him yesterday. Well, a 17+ love strategy game is very reasonable. After the system appeared, Hoseki Zangetsu was ecstatic at first, thinking that he was worthy of being the son of destiny, destined to punch Uchiha, kick Senju, and Aoi Satsuki had to lie down obediently. However, after understanding the rules of the system, Hoseki Zangetsu was dumbfounded. As mentioned before, his system is called the love strategy system, which is a system dedicated to helping the host find a suitable and high-quality female partner and bring the host a beautiful love. After the system was activated, the system even gave a talent called Extraordinary Places very considerately, which strengthened Hoseki Zangetsu's ability in a certain aspect. However, the system recommended the strategy targets for Hoseki Zangetsu to Tsunade, Uchiha Mikoto, Uzumaki Choksigna, Shizune, and Ui Kurenai. What can I say about these 5 people? Beautiful is very beautiful. Excellent is also excellent. But, it seems that not all of these people are single. Tsunade, Shizune, and Ui Kurenai are fine. But Uzumaki should be with Namikaze Minato at this point in time, right? Uchiha Mikoto is already married, and her child Uchiha Take with Uchiha Fugaku is 4 years old. This system, let him capture Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Minotaur hiss. Is there any bottom line? Is there any morality? Can someone else be replaced? System brother, he is from the Kirigakure clan. And the relationship between Konoha and Miss Shinobi has never been good. There is no friendship between the two sides, only hatred left over from the First Ninja World War. In addition, the water country where Kirigakure is located is far away from the fire country where Konoha is located, so he has no chance to capture those women at all. Is he going to abandon the mist and join the wood? But even if Zangetsu Kirigakure abandons the mist and goes to Konoha from Kirigakure, he still has no chance. Let alone conquering those people. Zangetsu Kirigakure believes that if he really goes to Konoha, he will be captured immediately, and then Yamanaka High will use the Yamanaka family's ninjutsu to turn his memory upside down. In front of Yamanaka High, all his secrets will be completely seen through and there is nothing to hide. This is also the reason why Zangetsu Kirigakure has a headache. Because of his identity as a time traveler, Zangetsu Kirigakure will never allow others to view his memories, which undoubtedly cuts off the possibility of Zangetsu Kirigakure directly surrendering. And if he can't get Konoha's trust, how can he get rid of those women in Konoha and fall in love with them? Wait until the 4th Ninja World War. By then, Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Kuyukina are dead, and Ui Kurenai has a baby. Tsunade will also be unable to break up with the old love because of the kiss of Kato Dan, leaving Shizune as a possible conqueror. Shizune. It's not impossible. However, Lita Euro trademark S not talk about whether it is possible or not. The 4th Ninja World War is still nearly 20 years away. Who can afford to wait? Chapter 2. It is obviously not a wise choice to spend 20 years on a chance to capture a strategy. It is impossible for Hoseki Zangetsu to survive until the 4th Ninja World War before attacking. After all, he is too greedy for the rewards of the strategy. This system divides the progress of the strategy into 8 ranges: 0 to 20%, stranger, no reward. 21 to 40%, passerby, get 1 piece of information about the target every day. 41 to 60%, favorable, randomly get an ability of the target. 61 to 70%, ambiguous, randomly get an ability of the target and strengthen it. 71 to 80%, couple, get a designated ability of the target and strengthen it. 81 to 90%, couple, get all abilities of the target and strengthen them. 91 to 99%, unswerving until death, unknown reward 100%, eternal, unknown reward. 8 progress ranges correspond to 8 rewards, and the rewards for the last 2 progress are currently unknown. But just the progress rewards shown now have made Kirigakure's eyes shine and salivate. Because it is clear in the system's details that the ability mentioned by the system includes intelligence, physique, blood, ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu and even chakra. In other words, if Kirigakure captures Uchiha Mikoto and the capture progress reaches 71 to 80%, then he can specify to obtain Uchiha Mikoto's Sharingan and strengthen it. Similarly, if he captures Uzumaki, then Kirigakure can get the physique of the Uzumaki clan and strengthen it. And Tsunade's Senjo clan physique or super strength or medical ninjutsu. Just thinking about it makes me drool. But now Kirigakure can only think about it. The first thing he has to solve is how to go to Konoha as a Kirigakure clan and fall in love with those girls. The relationship between the Mist Shinobi in Konoha was not good, and now there is a war, the relationship is even worse. In this situation, let alone a love strategy, it is difficult to be ordinary friends with those girls. The relationship between the two sides is at most just that of strangers. Good impression, it's just a dream. Ah. Sighing again, Hoseki Zangetsu felt that his head was about to explode. This damn system, he is a Kirigakure ninja, but the targets of the strategy are all people from Konoha, which is abstract no matter how you look at it. Forget it, it's useless to think so much now, just take it one step at a time. After thinking for a long time, and thinking about it for a headache, he still couldn't come up with any good ideas, so Hoseki Zangetsu gave up helplessly. He muttered and prepared to go back to pack his things. Tomorrow he will go to the battlefield. Clothes and food are fine, the village will provide them. But things like kunao shuriken detonating talismans must be prepared by yourself. It's not that the village doesn't give them out, but the amount given out by the village is really too little. In addition, Hoseki Zangetsu is just a chonin, so he can get even less. Hey, isn't this our beauty of the Ghost Light family? Ghost Light Kangyu, why are you sighing here? Are you afraid of being killed by the scum of Konoha after entering the battlefield? Are you scared to pee? Hurry up and squat down to pee, ha ha ha. A voice that made Ghost Light Kangyu disgusted and speechless sounded from behind him. A murderous intent flashed in Ghost Light Kangyu's eyes, but it disappeared immediately. He just turned around indifferently and looked at the young man opposite. That was a man named Ghost Light Jianyu, about 18 or 19 years old, and his ordinary face was full of sarcasm at this time, looking sarcastic. I am indeed afraid. Ghost Light Kangyu spoke, making the sarcasm on Ghost Light Jianyu's face even worse. However, just when he wanted to continue to ridicule Ghost Light Kangyu, he heard Ghost Light Kangyu continue to say, I'm afraid you'll die in the land of fire. After all, you're a friend who grew up with Gui Dengqing Yu. Although she doesn't like you, Gui Dengqingyu will be sad even if a cat or dog dies on the street. If you die, she will definitely feel bad for you. At this point, Gui Dengqingyu paused briefly, and then continued, when she's sad, she'll come to me for comfort, and want to hug and kiss me, and I can't stand it. As he said this, Gui Dengqingyu put on a helpless look. So you'd better not die. I'm afraid that if you die, Gui Dengqingyu will do something more extreme. Crack. A hole, do you want to die? Gui Dengqingyu's words broke Gui Dengjianyu's defense directly. He was furious, opened his eyes wide, stared at Gui Dengqingyu fiercely, and walked towards Gui Dengqingyu step by step. Gui Dengqingyu is Gui Dengjianyu's childhood sweetheart, and is also the object of Gui Dengjianyu's admiration and his future wife in his heart. Gui Dengjianyu had thought about the warm scene of the two living together in the future countless times, and he also believed that such a future would definitely happen. However, everything changed from the moment Gui Dengqingyu saw Gui Dengqingyu. Gui Dengqingyu was conquered by Gui Dengqinyu's handsome face, and abandoned Gui Dengjianyu without hesitation, and pursued Gui Dengqinyu crazily. This brought a huge blow to Gui Dengjianyu, and also made Gui Dengjianyu hate Gui Dengqinyu, and began to target Gui Dengqinyu everywhere. I advise you to calm down. This is the clan land. If you dare to do it, even if you are the son of the elder, the clan leader will definitely send you to the scout team. Gui Dengqinyu's voice made Gui Dengjianyu pause, and then stopped. The scout team, the team with the highest mortality rate in the war. It is called scouts, but in fact it is more cannon fodder. Of course, if the strength is strong enough, the scout team is also the best platform for fame. But Gui Dengjianyu is obviously not the kind of person who can stand out in the scout team. His strength is just a stronger Chunin level, not even a special JA. Nin. UBD, if you leave the clan, I will make sure you die. Ghostlight Jianyu gnashed his teeth, but he could do nothing. The Ghostlight clan does not absolutely prohibit fighting among clan members, but the clan has clearly stipulated that internal fighting is not allowed in the clan. Those who dare to fight in the clan will basically be sent to perform the most dangerous tasks. Not to mention the son of the elder, even the son of the clan leader cannot escape punishment. You are scared by a sentence. You are so cowardly, Jianyu Jun. No wonder Ghostlight King Yu doesn't like you. Forget it, I don't want to continue talking nonsense with you here. I have to go back to pack up the ninja tools. After mocking Ghostlight Jianyu, Ghostlight Kang Yu turned and left. As he walked, he muttered in a voice that Gui Dengjianyu could hear, I'm going to the battlefield soon, and I don't know if I can come back alive. Why don't I give in to Gui Dengqingyu? She's fair and tender, and she smells pretty good. Gui Dengqingyu. I must kill you, I must. Looking at Gui Dengqingyu's receding back, Gui Dengjianyu's body trembled, his eyes spitting fire. Wait, scout team, I will definitely send you to the scout team. He roared in a low voice, gritted his teeth, and his eyes were red. Chapter 3. Of course, Kirigakure Zangetsu didn't really give it to Kirigakure Kingyu. He had no feelings for Kirigakure Kingyu. Why no feelings? Because Kirigakure Kingyu was not the type that Kirigakure liked. As for what type of girl Kirigakure liked, it was simple. He liked pretty girls. One day passed quietly. The next morning, Kirigakure Zangetsu and the ninjas of the Kirigakure clan followed the Kirigakure troops to cross the sea and headed towards the land of fire. 3 days later, at night, the Kirigakure troops, advancing at full speed, arrived at the coast of the land of fire and landed. After stepping onto the territory of the land of fire, Hojiki Zangetsu continued to follow the troops and marched quickly in the dark, heading straight for the garrison of the Konoha Shinobi Border Defense Force on the coastline of the land of fire, preparing for a surprise attack. Hurry up! Stop dawdling! We are going to war, not going on an outing. Capture the Konoha Shinobi in front, and each person will count as an A-level mission. A rough roar from a distance came into his ears, and Hojiki Zangetsu listened to it and then slowed down. Hurry up! Are you rushing to die? A-level mission? I lack that little money. Well, I lack a little, but compared to money, life is undoubtedly more important. Hojiki Zangetsu complained in his heart. He was not a native of Kirigakure, and he was not brainwashed by the will of water, nor did he believe in the nonsense that death is the destination of ninjas, and if you can die in battle, it is glory. Anyway, Hojiki Zangetsu's first goal in this war is to survive. Then look for opportunities to see if you can find a way to get out of Kirigakure and join Konoha safely. Even if you really can't join Konoha safely, you have to find a way to contact his capture targets, and then get more than 21% of the capture progress to get a passerby reward. What about winning the war, defeating Konoha, and recasting the glory of Kirigakure? These have never been taken seriously by Gui Dengqingyu. This war, just get by. Anyway, he is just an ordinary Chunin, and no one will pay special attention to him in this battlefield full of Chunin. And the most important point is, what's the point of speeding up now? Do you really think you can raid Konoha at night? It's just a dream. Before the Third Ninja World War broke out, raiding Konoha might still be successful. Now that the Third Ninja World War has been going on for so long, Konoha has experienced the undeclared wars of Sand Shinobi, Cloud Shinobi, and Rock Shinobi, and has been numbed by the raids. They have long been on guard against Mist Shinobi, and are always paying attention to the possible attack from the east. It is obvious to Kizuki that Konoha village must have known the movements of Kirigakure's ninja troops and had prepared for them. After all, a ninja army of several thousand people cannot be hidden in the open ocean for 3 days. This is indeed the case. The ninja troops stationed on the border of Konoha to defend the land of water were already on high alert when the Kirigakure troops approached quickly. In a dense forest on the border of the Land of Fire, Yudin Koharu and Mitokedo Homura, two of the members of the Elders and the elite ninjas of Konoha responsible for defending the Land of Water, were under a big tree at this time, looking at the map on the ground with a serious face. There are more than a dozen elite ninjas nearby, all of whom are important members of the major ninja clans and powerful elite JA. Nin. In addition to them, there are many Konoha shinobi ambushing in the dense forest. Although these ninjas are not particularly numerous, they are all relatively excellent elites. They are waiting for the arrival of the Kirigakure ninja troops. Elder 10, Elder Mito, the Kirigakure troops are only 20 kilometers away from us. A Konoha shinobi quickly came to Yudin Koharu to report, making the atmosphere here more solemn. Humph, Kirigakure, these bastards who betrayed the covenant, this time they must be made to have no return. One of the elite ninjas spoke angrily. Although they were prepared for Kirigakure to tear up the treaty and raid Konoha, when Mist Shinobi really did so, people still couldn't help but be angry. We in Konoha are not easy to bully. Kirigakure dared to attack us. This time, they will pay a heavy price. Kirigakure is really tired of living. He dared to attack us. Let them all be buried here today. I can't wait to kill those bastards. Several ninjas spoke one after another. It can be seen that they are all very angry now, and they want Kirigakure to fall hard here. But in fact, all the ninjas present know that this ambush may cause Kirigakure some losses, but it is impossible for Kirigakure to really fall. Because the difference in the number of people on both sides is too big. The vast majority of Konoha's ninjas are on the battlefield with Cloud Shinobi Village and Uegakure. Fighting with 3 hidden villages at the same time has wiped out Konoha's ninja advantage in numbers, and even put it in a huge disadvantage. Fortunately, Tsunade has withdrawn from the war and does not intend to participate in it again, otherwise, Konoha's situation will be even worse. Prepare to fight Kirigakure's ninjas. Remember, our goal this time is to use the terrain to ambush and consume Kirigakure's ninja troops, not to fight a decisive battle with Kirigakure. Once Kirigakure breaks through the third ambush point, retreat immediately. Yudin Koharu spoke, not taking advantage of the people's enthusiasm to cheer them up, but calming them down with a serious tone. Understood. Hurry up, faster, don't let the Konoha shinobi react, kill them all before they wake up. It was still that rough voice. Hojiki knew that it was the elite ninja of Kirigakure's Yoryuki clan. Although he didn't awaken Dead Bone Pulse, he still reached the level of elite JA. Nin. His name was Kagai Jiro. That guy was a battle maniac, as if he would die if he didn't fight and kill. Every day he was either fighting or on the way to fight. This is why he was so anxious. Everyone knew that the chances of success of this raid were low, but he still shouted at everyone to rush forward quickly. However, not many people listened to him. Except for the other fighting madmen of the Hwei Yoryuki clan who rushed forward regardless of everything, and the members of the scout team who rushed forward with their heads held high, the other ninjas did not speed up. Even Kitano Kangyu noticed that both the Kitano clan he belonged to and the Snow clan next to them were consciously slowing down. It can only be said that there are really few fools who can be JA. Nin. Except for those brainless people of the Hwei Yoryuki clan. Kitano Kangyu sighed inwardly, and then followed the knight to slow down even more. At a certain moment, after the team entered a dense forest, suddenly, flames shot up into the sky and explosions sounded. Kitano Kangyu decisively stopped. The war has begun. Chapter 4. The war came very suddenly. Just as Guideng Kangyu was complaining in his heart, a dazzling fire suddenly burst out in the dark forest, accompanied by several screams. We were ambushed. Guideng Kangyu thought in his heart, holding a kunao to be alert, and his body moved silently in the direction of the head of the Guideng clan. Although he didn't know what level the enemies ambushed in front were, it was still necessary to follow the masters before the melee broke out. There is an ambush, Humph, I want to see how many people you can have. The head of the Guideng clan sneered, and said that he led the elites of the Guideng clan around him to move forward quickly. Guideng Kangyu forgot that this is the ninja world, the stronger the strength, the more likely they are to take the lead in the charge. Take back what I said just now. After complaining in his heart, Guideng Kangyu had no intention of keeping up with his head. He still followed his own pace, keeping a close eye on the surroundings, and slowing down to keep up with the people moving forward. It is impossible to be passionate. At this time, the level has not been upgraded, and the equipment has not been equipped. The only way to be safe is to survive. Kill. Kill these Konoha bastards. There are people there. Go to hell, Kirigakure BD. Boom. Ah. It hurts, save me. Go to hell. Although he had consciously slowed down, Kirigakure still followed the large army to the location of the first wave of ambushed people. There were dozens of corpses lying here and there, their bodies had been charred, and they emitted waves of disgusting barbecue smell. The surrounding land had also been turned upside down and muddy. Someone used a large-scale earth-style ninjutsu here. The big trees were leaning like people, and there were flames still burning, glowing and heating in the dark night. The flames spread to the distance, and Kirigakure vaguely saw the corpses that were also spreading, and could also hear the fighting and roaring from afar. Obviously, Konoha set up an ambush here and achieved good results. But they didn't know whether they were too excited or underestimated the enthusiasm of Kirigakure and other battle maniacs. Some people didn't get out in time and got stuck. The thought flashed through his mind, and Kizukage continued to move forward with the main force in the firelight. Not long after, the troops in front stopped. Because if they continued to move forward, they would enter Konoha's defense zone. Since Konoha already knew about Kirigakure's raid and set a trap in that forest, it was no wonder that they must have set up various traps and ambushes in their defense zone. Although Kirigakure had a large number of ninjas, they would suffer considerable losses if they broke through by force, regardless of whether they could succeed or not. This was naturally not worth the loss. So next, it was time to find a place to set up camp and then organize the troops to attack little by little. Just as Kizukage thought, Mizukage ordered to retreat temporarily, and the troops set up camp in a huge open space. Late at night, the entire front fell into silence again. Tents popped up in an open space. Although quiet, they were brightly lit. Ninjas patrolled around the camp with torches in their hands, and sensory ninjas also used their sensory powers from time to time to prevent Konoha from making a surprise attack. Hojiki Kangyu was lying in a small tent in the Hojiki clan area. The tent was very small and could only accommodate one person. Looking at the blank space on the top of the tent, Hojiki Kangyu recalled what he had just seen, and his heart was calm. War, this is a familiar yet unfamiliar word to Kitano Zangetsu, he has long been prepared for war. What he saw today was within Kitano Zangetsu's expectations. Unlike the battles he experienced in previous missions, in such a battle involving thousands of people, the power of an individual is very small. Not to mention ordinary Chonin, even JA. Nin dare not say that they can retreat 100% unscathed. In the ambush just now, a JA. Nin from the Huayuryuki clan died. It seems that a JA. Nin also died in Konoha. And this is just the beginning, although he is actually a bit strong. Possessing the Kitano clan's water transformation technique and water iron cannon technique, as well as JA. Nin level physical skills, illusions, and chakra, he is definitely stronger than JA. Nin. Kitano Zangetsu felt that his current strength should be that of an elite JA. Nin. But Kitano Zangetsu also knew that he just barely reached the level of an elite JA. Nin, not the senior elite JA. Nin like Sarutobi Asuma and Kito Zabuza in the original work. In this war, he is also likely to die. Previously, he had always set his sights on the Akatsuki organization, Uchiha Obito, Uchiha Madara, and Aoi Satsuki. Now it seems that he was really aiming too high. Now he can't even guarantee that he can get out of this war safely. Sure enough, he must find a way to get good things from the system. Thinking firmly in his heart, Kitsune Kangyu thought again, thinking about how he could get in touch with the strategy targets given by the system, how to conquer them and get rewards. Tsunade, Uchiha Mikoto, Uzumaki Juxingna, Ui Kurenai, Shizune. Of these 5 people, it should be the most difficult to conquer Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Juxingna, especially Uchiha Mikoto, who is already married to Uchiha Fugaku, and her child Uchiha Itachi is 4 years old. Uzumaki and Namikaze Minato also have a good relationship. They are in love with each other, and in a year at most, Uzumaki will get pregnant, and then die at the hands of Nine Tails on the day she gives birth to Naruto. So for these 2 people, Zangetsu Kizuki has given up in his heart. Then there are only Tsunade, Shizune and Kurenai. Kurenai is 13 years old this year. According to the information, she has just been promoted to Chonin. She should participate in this war. She is the person that Zangetsu Kizuki is most likely to contact in this war, and the person that he is most likely to attack. But Zangetsu Kizuki's target is not Kurenai. Because the 2 are in a hostile relationship, and this is a battlefield, the 2 sides are naturally hostile. After encountering each other, they can only fight to the death. It is difficult to attack Kurenai. You can only try and do your best. Zangetsu Kizuki's target is Tsunade and Shizune. Tsunade and Shizune left Konoha a few years ago and wandered in the ninja world without a trace. To contact them, there is no need to go to Konoha at all. Moreover, Tsunade has hemophobia, and Shizune is just a 13-year-old girl with no strength. He doesn't have to worry about his life being in danger when he contacts these 2 people. But if he wants to capture Shizune, he must pass Tsunade. And if he wants to capture Tsunade, he must pass the dead Kato Dan. This is undoubtedly a time-consuming thing. So, Heideng Zhangyu decided that he would die in this war, let Heideng Zhangyu disappear, and contact Tsunade and Shizune as a wandering ninja. Having made up his mind, Heideng Zhangyu couldn't help but open the system and prepare to take another look at the task cards of Tsunade and Shizune. However, after he opened the system, he suddenly sat up from the bed. Updated Heideng Zhangyu was stunned. This system was actually updated. Why Heideng Zhangyu didn't understand. Could it be that the system also felt that the difficulty of his current capture task was too high, so it lowered the difficulty? Chapter 5. It's better to lower the difficulty, don't raise it again. Hojiki Kangyu looked at the system page, feeling anxious and expectant. I can only hope that this idiot system can do something useful. Upgrade it for me. Optimize it for me. It's better to lower the difficulty to extremely simple. It's the kind that others will fall in love with me at first sight and will marry me. Hojiki Kangyu thought to himself. Ding. The system upgrade is over. I wish the host a beautiful love soon. Looking at the text on the page, Hojiki Kangyu couldn't wait to open the system and looked at the card display of the strategy characters. Tsunade, Uchiha Mikoto, Uzumaki Juxingna, Shizune, Ui Kurenai. No change, they are still the 5 of them. But... Hojiki Kangyu looked at the 6th card. This is an unknown card, with a golden question mark on the dark screen. After the host has conquered any character by more than 60%, the system will select a qualified female from the females the host has met as the new target of the conquest. That's it. Gui Dengkenyu looked at the question mark on the card with a puzzled look. No, you upgraded and optimized this. Gui Dengkenyu couldn't help but want to curse. But he still held back. Because Gui Dengkenyu found that there was an extra line of words in the upper left corner of the conquest character card display page. Love is a wholehearted commitment, a joint effort of body and mind, and a certain degree of physical contact between the two parties can increase the progress of the conquest. Looking at this line of words, Gui Dengkenyu's heart was shocked, then again, and finally again. He hurriedly checked the detailed explanation of this passage. After reading it, Gui Dengkenyu's eyes lit up and he took a breath of cold air. Because it defines in detail the conquest progress that can be increased by various intimate actions from holding hands to being in perfect harmony. The lowest is hand-holding, which can directly increase the progress of the strategy to the 21% passerby stage. The highest is the level of close contact, which can directly increase the progress of the strategy to the 51% favorable stage. In other words, even if Gui Dengkenyu and his chosen strategy target have no feelings, as long as the two have in-depth communication and know each other well, the progress of the strategy can be increased to 51% at once. This is simply. Gui Dengkenyu is a little moved. Even if he saw the system's red bold font prompt if the target is not willing, the host forcibly makes physical contact with the target, and the progress of the strategy will drop significantly after the contact, and the lowest can be -100%, fight to the death. It can't stop Gui Dengkenyu's heart. Because even if it really drops to -100% strategy, fight to the death, it does not affect Gui Dengkenyu's rewards when the progress of the strategy exceeds 20% and 40% when the two parties are in physical contact. So, Gui Dengkenyu is crazy moved. He has a bold idea. As for why it is not 5 bold ideas, it is because of the activation reward that Gui Deng drew when the system was activated a few days ago. Thinking about it, Gui Dengkenyu opened his system backpack. There is only one lonely item in it now. It is a bracelet with a non-mainstream name Love Without Regret special item Love Without Regret, exclusive props for the strategy character. After the strategy character wears it, the strategy progress will only increase and not decrease. Once the prop is bound, it cannot be disassembled and cannot be damaged. When the strategy progress of the wearing character reaches the title of couple, it can be untied by the host. Finally, the hero has a place to use his skills. Gui Dengkenyu raised the corner of his mouth. So, the target of the attack seems to be changed. Now, Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Chuxingna seem to be included in the target of the attack. Thinking of Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Chuxingna, Hojiki Kanyu's heart warmed. It's not that he has the legacy of Weiwu and likes to be a bullhead. But the two surnames Uchiha and Uzumaki. What do Uchiha and Uzumaki mean? Sharingan and Uzumaki physique. And what do Sharingan and Uzumaki physique mean? Sage eye and sage body. In this world where blood determines almost everything, having a strong blood is really too important. Hojiki Kangyu swallowed his saliva. But he was still rational. Uchiha Mikoto and Uzumaki Chuxingna, these two people are probably not on the battlefield but in Konoha, he has no chance after all. It still has to be Tsunade. Tsunade is of Senju bloodline, and Senju is the direct descendant of Ashura. Although the physique of Senju is not as good as that of the Uzumaki clan, it is also very good. In addition, Tsunade also has hemophobia. Once he finds it, he will have no power to resist. He. Tsunade, don't blame me for being too evil. There are bad people in the system. I was forced to do this. Hojuna Kangyu spoke in his heart. He felt guilty, sad, eager, and yellow in his heart. It seems that I have to get out of the war as soon as possible. Find an opportunity to die gloriously, leave no body, escape, perfect. Talking to himself, Hojuna Kangyu's eyes refocused, looking at the tent on the top, his eyes seemed to see through the tent, and saw the sky outside, and the sea of a stars in the sky. My future is about to take off. Konoha village. At this time, there was also a person in the Uchiha clan who was staring at the starry sky in a daze. She looked about 23 or 24 years old, with long black hair falling down smoothly. Her fair skin glowed slightly in the moonlight. Her delicate features and beautiful face. Anyone would say that she was a beauty. I don't know what's going on with Fugaku, and Ataki, he's only 4 years old, and he's already on the battlefield. Uchiha Mikoto murmured to herself, her tone full of worry. She didn't go to the battlefield. Even if Konoha went to war with Uegakure and Cloud Shinobi village at the same time, it wouldn't be her turn to join the battle. Not to mention, she was the wife of the head of the Uchiha clan. So, even though Uchiha Mikoto herself was not unarmed, but a special Nin with the 3 Tomo Sharingan, set in this book, she didn't enter the battlefield. But soon, Uchiha Mikoto would join the battle. Because the news that Kirigakure tore up the treaty and raided the border of Konoha had reached the hands of 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. There are too few Konoha shinobi on the defense line between the land of fire and the land of water. Even if Yudin Koharu and Mito Kato Homura were there, they could not resist the attack of the Kirigakure ninja troops. Therefore, reinforcements must be made. At this moment, where can Konoha mobilize ninja troops? The only ones who can be mobilized are those who have stayed in Konoha, those married and raising children, and those young ninjas who have just graduated from the ninja school for 2 or 3 years and are related to the future of Konoha. The next afternoon, Uchiha Mikoto led dozens of female ninjas from the Uchiha clan to follow the reinforcements. Also traveling with them was Kurenai, who was only 13 years old and had just been promoted to Chonin. As well as Might Guy, Xiaobawai, Shiranui Genma and others. Chapter 6. Konoha Defense Zone. This is a vast forest with tall trees and lush greenery. The dense branches and leaves block out the sun, making the deep forest look dark. Kirigakure Zangetsu walked carefully in the forest, and together with his 3 teammates, he checked the traps set by the Konoha shinobi, and also looked for opportunities to deal with Konoha's scouts in the forest. This is the work of the scout team, which is full of dangers and may die at any time. Kirigakure Zangetsu should not be here, but he is already a member of the scout team at this time. As for why Kirigakure Zangetsu, a chonin of the Kirigakure clan, would enter the scout team like a death squad, the reason is also very simple. He beat Kirigakure Jianyu severely. That was yesterday. 2 nights ago, the Kirigakure team was ambushed after landing in the Land of Fire. Although it did not cause much damage, 30 or 40 scouts died. In order to replenish the scout team and to prevent the major ninja clans from having any intention of slacking off, Mizukage asked the major ninja clans to send 2 ninjas to join the scout team. The person originally chosen by the Kizuki clan did not include Kizuki. Kizuki was just an ordinary chonin, a small transparent existence, and it was impossible to attract the attention of the Kizuki clan leader. But Kizuki stood up. His father was the elder of the Kizuki clan and the person in charge of this selection. Kizuki had hated Kizuki for a long time, and what Kizuki said to Kizuki before Kirigakure set off made Kizuki want to kill Kizuki. So, Kizuki was lucky to become one of the 2 ninjas added to the scout team of the Kizuki clan. If it was before this, Kizuki would definitely retaliate against Kizuki and his son for their blatant frame-up. Even if he couldn't avoid joining the scout team, he would definitely drag Kizuki along and find an opportunity to kill Kizuki during the mission. But after the system update yesterday, Kizuki had a new plan. He just pretended to have a quarrel with Kizuki and was forced to accept this arrangement. The scout team had the highest mortality rate before the decisive battle, and ninjas from the scout team died almost every day. And the reason why Kizuki was so willing to join the scout team was to find an opportunity to die gloriously in this forest. He needed to get away and free himself from Kirigakure's shackles so that he could achieve his next goal. Only when Hojiki Zangetsu died, he could go to find Tsunade and Shizune without any worries, and then use Tsunade's fear of blood to suppress Tsunade, get in close contact with her to improve the progress of the strategy, and lock the progress with love without regret. This is Hojiki Zangetsu's plan. Now, everything is as planned. There is only one chance left to sacrifice gloriously and die without a complete body. These bastards in Konoha are really despicable. They set so many traps here. In my opinion, they should just use large-scale ninjutsu to push this forest flat. There is no need to go through so much effort to eliminate the traps here. The complaining voice beside my ear came into my ear. It was a young man in his 20s in the 4-man team. He gave himself the code name Hu, and Hojiki Zangetsu didn't ask what his real name was. But this guy is also a ninja added from the ninja clan, and he seems to have a very good secret technique. Shut up, Master Mizukage has his reasons for doing this. If you don't have a brain, don't talk. The fierce voice came from the ninja in front of Kizukage, codenamed Owl, an old scout. Hearing this, Leech paused and then stopped. You guys, do you want to die? He spoke with an angry tone and a sinister look. Being scolded by a civilian ninja like this made Leech feel very unhappy. Why, do you want to die? Owl will not tolerate Leech, and turned to look at Leech, his eyes cold. He has long been fed up with these ninjas from the ninja clan. The two looked at each other, full of gunpowder, and looked like they were about to explode. But soon, a third voice sounded, which made the momentum of the two stagnate. You can fight to the death, but go back to the camp first, don't FG fight here. If you attract Konoha's scouts, I will kill you two first. It was the captain of the team, a JA nin codenamed Mist, who was also an old scout, already in his 40s. A scar on his face stretched from his left eye to his right chin, making his face look very hideous. When he spoke at this time, his tone was cold and murderous. Kirigakure Kangyu stood there expressionless. This is Kirigakure's team, unlike Konoha's ninja team, which is united and cooperative, and the atmosphere is harmonious. Here, strength is respected, and everyone is full of gunpowder. However, this was no big deal for Hojiki Zangetsu, and it did not affect his plan and mood. If it were not for the fact that the opportunity was not very good now, Hojiki Zangetsu would have wanted to kill the three people directly and create an accident to get away. However, the time was not right. Keep going, Leech, you go ahead. Wu spoke, his tone was unquestionable, and his eyes staring at Leech were very cold, making Leech feel that if he refused, Wu would attack him. This murderous intention made Leech dare not go against Wu's arrangement. He was just a Chonin, and the secret technique he possessed allowed him to barely approach the level of a special JA Nin, but Wu was a real JA Nin, and an experienced JA Nin. He was no match. The four continued to move forward, slowly groping in the dark forest, guarding against the possible attacks of Konoha scouts at any time, and carefully observing the surroundings to prevent touching the traps set by Konoha shinobi. At a certain moment, Hojiki Zangetsu's expression moved, and then the whole person suddenly jumped back. At the same time, the fog also moved, almost at the same time as the ghost lantern and the waning moon. Owl's reaction was a beat slower than the two, but it was this beat slower that caused him to be blown high up by the waves of the explosion, and then hit the ground hard. Boom! The terrible explosion sounded in the forest, and the flames shot up to the sky to dispel the darkness. The surrounding trees were hit miserably, and they were broken and stuck in the soil. Tisk, it seems that there is no need to go back to the camp. This guy died well. Owl got up from the ground, he was panting heavily, Blood was flowing from the corners of his mouth, and he was hit hard by the explosion just now. But at this time, looking at the dead bodies that were blown to pieces, and the broken limbs and arms were scattered all over the ground, he showed a happy smile, and did not mean to be sad for the death of his teammates at all. Kizuna was silent. He thought that Leech might die, but Kizuna thought that it might be in the future mission. He did not expect Leech to die so quickly and so easily in the trap of the detonating talisman. And Wu stood behind Kizuna and looked at Kizuna. This guy is definitely not as simple as Chanin. Wu thought to himself. But he did not think much, but said leave here. The explosion here is so loud. If there are Konoha scouts nearby, they must be besieging here. Chapter 7. In the forest, a huge explosion sounded. Even though there were trees blocking the sound, it could still be heard far away. Wu noticed that something was wrong with Kizuna. His reaction speed was too fast, which was totally unlike what a Chanin should have. But Wu did not choose to investigate further. Everyone has their own secrets. It is not a pleasant thing to rashly explore other people's secrets. Moreover, the explosion just now would definitely attract other people's attention. Now they have to leave first. As for why they did not hide and set traps on the spot, waiting for the Konoha shinobi to take the bait, it was because one of the three of them was injured. Owl was seriously injured in the explosion just now. Now there is a bloody smell on his body, and it is impossible to hide it. Of course, the most important thing is that Owl is different from Leech. Owl can see at a glance that using the bloody smell on Owl as bait to lure Konoha shinobi is something that most people are unwilling to do. Kizuna nodded when he heard this, moved his body, and followed Wu to retreat towards the camp. Seeing that neither of them had the intention to help him, Owl's pale face looked a little ugly, but he could only look gloomy, endure the pain in his body, and quickly follow the footsteps of Wu and Zidun Kangyu. On the other side of the deep forest. Only about 1 kilometer away from Zidun Kangyu and the other two. The 4 Konoha shinobi hiding in the trees looked in the direction of the explosion. The fish is hooked, let's go. One of them spoke, and then quickly stood up. The other 3 saw this and also stood up and followed. At the same time, in another direction, the same 4 Konoha shinobi were there. After hearing the sound, they did not hesitate and quickly approached the direction where the sound came from. Similarly, another team, and a team of 4 JA. Nin, also heard the explosion. Madam. Surround them. In the deep forest, Zidun Kangyu and the other 3 were running. But the 3 did not run for long before they stopped, and Wu and Owl's faces changed drastically. Because in front of them, 4 Konoha ninjas appeared at the 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock directions, which were Konoha scout teams. Kirigakure and his team went too deep. Or, these Konoha scout teams had been wandering around the detonating trap just now, with the purpose of hunting down the Kirigakure scouts who touched the detonating trap. This made Wu look ugly, and he cursed the ancestors of Leech in his heart. And Owl was even more frightened. He was already injured, and it was not light. At this time, there were only 3 of them. Facing 8 Konoha shinobi, he would probably not be able to escape. On the contrary, Kirigakure looked at the 8 Konoha shinobi on the opposite side, holding a kunao in a defensive posture, calm in his heart, and quickly collected information about the surrounding environment while his eyes turned. Although there were 8 ninjas on the opposite side, Kirigakure's intuition told him that there were no elite JA. Nin on the opposite side. In this way, if Kirigakure wants to run, the other party can't stop him. But Kirigakure doesn't plan to escape like this. He wants to see if there is a chance to kill all these people, and then forge evidence of his own death, so as to completely break away from Kirigakure and implement his inner Tsunade strategy plan. It seems to be a big fish, good. One of the Konoha shinobi on the opposite side spoke up. He was a middle-aged ninja, probably the captain of one of the teams. He looked at Mist, his tone slightly excited. A JA. Nin, although not rare on the battlefield, but a JA. Nin is a JA. Nin after all, and for the village, each one is a very precious existence. Killing the Kirigakure JA. Nin on the opposite side is equivalent to completing an A-level mission. If there is still important information in the body of this JA. Nin, then the level of this mission can be further upgraded, which is equivalent to completing an S-level mission. This means a lot of rewards, and also a rare qualification. Big fish humph, I want to see who is the fish. Mist spoke up, his tone full of disdain. Even if he knew that it would be difficult next, and there was even a great risk of death, he would not admit defeat. Really hard-mouthed, is this the ninja of Mist Shinobi except for hard-mouthed, everything else is soft. The captain of Konoha spoke sarcastically, his eyes were playful, as if a cat looked at a mouse. Why waste time talking to him, just kill him. Another person from Konoha spoke up. He was also a middle-aged ninja and the captain of another team. This person was also a JA. Nin. Kill me, let's see who dies today. Whist roared, and the next moment he quickly formed a seal. Water style a Mist Shinobi technique. A thick fog suddenly rose, and in the blink of an eye it spread, submerging the figures of Wu, Kizuki, and Owl. But as the fog spread, even through the fog, Kizuki could see the flames approaching them. Without thinking much, Kizuki quickly retreated and formed a seal. Water style a great waterfall technique. Chakra condensed in the throat, Kizuki opened his mouth, and a huge water ball spurted out of his mouth, rushing towards the fireball. Sizzle. The collision of water and fire made a sizzling sound, and water vapor quickly spread, making the place that was already filled with thick fog even more difficult to see. Water style a water clone technique. Hojiki Zangetsu continued to make hand seals, and in a blink of an eye a water clone appeared beside him. Then Hojiki Zangetsu used the instant body technique to quickly come behind a big tree and hide his real body. You can't escape. The angry voice of the Konoha shinobi came from the mist, but Hojiki Zangetsu was unmoved, and just looked at the leech lying on the ground in the mist who had already fled quickly. Mist, this guy, had no intention of fighting with these Konoha shinobi. After using the mist shinobi technique just now, he turned around and left without hesitation, and in the process of escaping, he hit the leech hard with his body, causing the leech to fall to the ground. Obviously, this guy directly gave up on Leech and Hojiki Zangetsu, and even used the two as bait, letting the two hold the ninjas of Konoha to create a chance for him to escape. Such behavior is unforgivable even in Kirigakure. Once the people in the village know about it, Wu feels that he will be imprisoned in Kirigakure. Wu couldn't have been unaware of the consequences of doing so, but he still did it, obviously believing that Gui Dengkenyu and Xiao would die here, and his own behavior would not be exposed. Gui Dengkenyu's eyes were cold, but he didn't catch up with Wu. What he needed today was to die here, rather than escape to heaven. Chapter 8. The goal of Hojiki Kenyu was simple, to die here, and to die without a complete body. So he did not run away. The opponent had 2 Ja. Nin and 6 Cha Nin. Such a lineup was not weak, and could even be said to be very strong, so Hojiki Kenyu did not have enough confidence to kill them all. Even Hojiki Kenyu himself was in danger. If he was not defeated, he might fall into their hands. So Hojiki Kenyu did not intend to fight them to the death, but to see if there was any chance. If it really didn't work, he would run away. Although he might not be able to beat them head-on, Hojiki Kenyu was still confident in running away. After all, his water transformation technique could make him immune to physical attacks, and he could avoid fatal damage at critical moments and escape. In addition, there was a river running through the forest nearby. When the time came, he could directly enter the river and escape, and there would be no problem in protecting himself. A hole. After the owl hurriedly got up from the ground, he roared. He did not expect that the fog would deliberately hit him, which was undoubtedly to kill him. Hurry, help me walk. After cursing, Owl looked at the water clone of Hojiki Zangetsu and spoke hastily. Hojiki Zangetsu's water clone seemed to wake up after hearing this, and pretended to go to Owl, supported Owl and was about to jump away. But it was too late. Want to leave? How can I let you escape? 4 Konoha ninjas surrounded him, and the other 4 ignored Hojiki Zangetsu and Owl and chased after Wu. There is no doubt that Wu's value is undoubtedly the highest. As expected of a Kirigakure ninja, you can be so decisive in harming your companions. You are really a group of despicable and shameless trash. The middle-aged Ja. Nin of Konoha sneered, and Wu's actions surprised him. If this behavior were placed in Konoha, it would definitely be spurned by everyone and punished by the village. Damn. Owl saw the 4 people surrounding him and Hojiki Zangetsu, and his heart was completely desperate. Although the other side has a team to chase Wu, the remaining 4 people are no match for him even if he is healthy, let alone in his current state of serious injury. It seems that he will really die here today. Owl was furious, and then pushed away Hojiki Kenyu, holding a kunao, and looked at the Konoha shinobi opposite with a sinister look. If you want Lao Zi's life, let's see if you have the ability. He roared, and then rushed towards the middle-aged ninja opposite. And Hojiki Kenyu's water clone saw this, and pretended to come to his senses, and then rushed towards the Konoha shinobi like crazy. Bang bang bang. Puff. Just a few times, before Hojiki Kenyu's water clone rushed over, Owl was kicked back by the opponent and hit Hojiki Kenyu's water clone. The trap that the leech had just set off had caused Owl to be seriously injured. His internal organs were injured, and he lost half of his combat power. In addition, the opponent was a Ja. Nin, so he was naturally defeated in a few moves. Don't come over, don't come over. The water clone of Hojiki Zangetsu supported Owl with one hand and pointed a kunao at the ninja on the opposite side with the other hand. His body was trembling, and he opened his mouth in panic and growled, looking like he was scared out of his wits. This made the 4 Konoha shinobi show a mocking expression. Especially looking at the handsome face of Hojiki Zangetsu, they seemed to be happier in their hearts. It's over, surrender honestly and maybe you can die later. The middle-aged Ja. Nin spoke, and approached Hojiki Zangetsu and Owl step by step. In his eyes, the dying Owl was no longer a concern, and Hojiki Zangetsu was just a brat, with no threat at all. I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Hojiki Zangetsu's water clone kept saying this, but his body was fighting even harder. He supported the Owl and retreated until his body hit a tree and stopped. There is no way back. It looks like your life is over. Remember, don't be an enemy of Konoha village in your next life. After saying this, the middle-aged Ja. Nin of Konoha activated his body instantly and came to the eyes of the water clone of Hojiki Zangetsu in a blink of an eye. He held a kunao in his hand and was about to cut the throat of the water clone of Hojiki Zangetsu. Puff. The kunao accurately cut the throat of the water clone of Hojiki Zangetsu, but the face of the middle-aged Ja. Nin of Konoha suddenly changed. Clone. He screamed subconsciously, and then seemed to smell something, his pupils dilated, and his body jumped up reflexively. Boom. Another huge explosion sounded, and the body of Owl, which was covered with several detonating talismans by the clone of Kizuna Zangetsu, exploded directly on the spot. And the middle-aged Ja. Nin of Konoha, who was very close to Owl, although he subconsciously escaped at the last moment, was still affected by the eye, and the whole person was blown up high like the previous Owl, and then fell heavily to the ground. It was even more serious, half of the body of this middle-aged JA Nin was bloody. Captain Oishi. The 3 Konoha shinobi who were watching the show were shocked by the sudden change, but they quickly came to their senses, screaming, and quickly came to the dying Oishi on the ground. Be careful. Oishi spoke while holding back the pain, but it was too late. Hojiki Zangetsu had already used the body flicker technique to come to the 4 people. After landing, he rushed directly to kill them. Ding ding ding. Puff. 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 These 3 Konoha shinobi were only at the level of Chunin. In the hands of Hojiki Zangetsu, an elite JA Nin, they were easily dealt with as if they were cutting melons and vegetables. There was no room for them to fight back. Kawasui, Inudo, Sasaki. On the ground, Oishi watched his 3 subordinates being killed, his eyes widened. He wanted to get up and avenge his disciples, but he fell down again with just a slight movement. What a pity, it's over. Hojiki Zangetsu spoke, and was about to throw the kunao in his hand at Oishi to end his life. He was not the kind of person who liked to talk nonsense with the enemy. The villain died because of talking too much, and Hojiki Zangetsu understood it better than anyone else. Puff. The kunao accurately penetrated Oishi's body, which was the fatal heart part. Stop. An angry voice came from a distance. It was a woman's voice, and she didn't sound very old. Hojiki Kangyu turned his head and saw 4 Konoha ninjas approaching quickly. The leader was a female ninja, and the voice just now came from her mouth. These 4 people moved very fast, and their strength was probably not simple. Hojiki Kangyu left without thinking. Although he didn't know what the other party's strength was, Hojiki Kangyu didn't want to take risks. However, just as Hojiki Kangyu was about to run away, a voice sounded in his mind. Ding. Found to target Uchiha Mikoto. This voice made Hojiki Kangyu stop. Uchiha Mikoto. Chapter 9. Uchiha Mikoto. The person who came, it turned out to be Uchiha Mikoto. Hojiki Zangetsu was a little confused for a moment. This shouldn't be the case. How could Uchiha Mikoto appear here? As the wife of the head of the Uchiha clan, shouldn't she be staying in the Uchiha clan land in Konoha now, waiting for her husband Guy to return? Why did she run to the battlefield of the land of water? This doesn't make sense. Hojiki Zangetsu couldn't figure it out. It's not his fault. After all, from Hojiki Zangetsu's perspective, the Third Ninja World War ended with Konoha's victory. Both Kirigakure and Uegakure Cloud Shinobi Village were doomed to fail. So Konoha didn't need to panic at all. But from Konoha, from Sarutobi Hiruzen's perspective, how could he not panic? There are 5 strongest ninja villages in the entire ninja world, namely Konoha Village, Cloud Shinobi Village, Uegakure, Tsunagakure, and Kirigakure, also known as the 5 hidden villages. The strength of the 5 hidden villages varies, and Konoha is the strongest overall. If it is a one-on-one war, then Konoha is not afraid of any hidden village, and they are confident that they can defeat any village that dares to invade Konoha. Even in a one-on-two war, Konoha is not invincible. Konoha's foundation is too deep. The unique geographical location makes Konoha fertile, populous, vast, and rich in resources. Konoha has the most ninjas in the entire ninja world, and it always has the largest population in the entire ninja world. And with a large population base, Konoha's genius ninjas and elite ninjas are naturally more than other villages. Such Konoha has the confidence and strength to deal with other villages. But this time is different. This is not the ease of one-on-one, nor the seriousness of 1 against 2, but the solemnity of 1 against 3. This is a life and death battle for Konoha's survival. It is an absolute life and death moment. Therefore, Konoha mobilized almost all the forces that could be mobilized. Even the new generation of young ninjas who have not grown up in Konoha were sent to the battlefield. They are the backbone of Konoha in the next 10 years. If it is not a last resort, how can it be possible to reduce the difficulty of the Chunin exam and let a group of boys and girls aged 12 or 13 become Chunin and be sent to the battlefield? And these boys and girls who represent the future of Konoha were sent to the battlefield. It is not surprising that Uchiha Mikoto, a JA Nin level Uchiha clan ninja, appeared on the battlefield. It's just that Hojiki Zangetsu didn't think it through for a while. But Hojiki Zangetsu didn't get stuck in a rut. Since the system has already made a reminder, it proves that the person in front of him is Uchiha Mikoto himself. So, Hojiki Zangetsu stopped and he was not going to leave. Because the opportunity in front of him is really rare. Originally, for Hojiki Zangetsu, he had already given up on Uchiha Mikoto and had no intention of conquering Uchiha Mikoto. After all, Uchiha Mikoto had been staying in Konoha and was surrounded by ninjas from the Uchiha clan. It was simply impossible for him to enter Konoha and conquer Uchiha Mikoto from the Uchiha clan. Even though there were still 9 years before Uchiha Mikoto's death, Hojiki Zangetsu had no intention of conquering Uchiha Mikoto. But now, Uchiha Mikoto actually appeared in front of him. Hojiki Zangetsu was very moved. This is Sharingan. Although 50% of the progress of the strategy is just a random draw, it is not certain that Uchiha Mikoto's Sharingan can be drawn, but similarly, Hojiki Zangetsu is not certain that he will not be able to draw it. What if he draws it? Hojiki Zangetsu thought to himself. Even though he knew that it was dangerous to stay and gamble on this opportunity, it might be Hojiki Zangetsu's only chance to draw Sharingan, and Hojiki Zangetsu didn't want to give up just like that. Damn it! Looking at Oishi lying in a pool of blood with a kunao stuck in his heart, Uchiha Mikoto was angry and glared at Hojiki Zangetsu. Oishi had performed missions with her before, and in Uchiha Mikoto's heart, she always regarded Oishi as an elder brother. However, now, the elder brother in her heart died in front of her eyes. And the culprit was the boy opposite. Looking at Uchiha Mikoto who was glaring at him, and thinking about how to seize this opportunity to bet on Sharingan from Uchiha Mikoto, Kitano Kangyu suddenly felt horrified, and his hair stood up. He moved his body subconsciously without any thought. Puff. Looking at his clothes being cut and stained with blood, Kitano Kangyu felt horrified. Really, it's a terrible illusion. The Sharingan of the Uchiha clan is really well deserved. Kitano Kangyu spoke. Just now when he and Uchiha Mikoto looked at each other, he was briefly confused by Uchiha Mikoto's Sharingan illusion. If Kitano Kangyu's own illusion was not at the Nin level, and his body's instinctive reaction allowed him to come to his senses at the critical moment, I'm afraid that the previous blow would have been as simple as cutting his arm. But Kitano Kangyu was unscathed. Yes, if Kitano Kangyu had not come to his senses just now, he would not have been injured. Because Zanjutsu's body will instinctively use the water transformation technique to be immune to the attack just now. This is the result of his efforts in the past 10 years. Zanjutsu's attainments in the water transformation technique have reached a peak level. This level is similar to Uchiha Obito's Kamui, which can make the body hydrated the moment the attack touches him, thus making him immune to the attack. The only difference between the two is that Uchiha Obito's Kamui can make him immune not only to physical attacks, but also to ninjutsu attacks. Zanjutsu's water transformation technique can only be immune to physical attacks. Ninjutsu attacks will cause damage to his water body, and lightning-style ninjutsu will turn him into jelly and completely lose his combat effectiveness. As for the previous attack, why Zangetsu wanted to hurt himself was naturally to give Uchiha Mikoto and the other four false information. After knowing that the woman in front of him was Uchiha Mikoto, Hoshiki Zangetsu knew that the four ninjas around Uchiha Mikoto were 90% Uchiha clan ninjas, and most of them were Nin level. Such a configuration is worthy of the status of the wife of the Uchiha clan leader, isn't it? Including Uchiha Mikoto, these four people are four Uchiha clan Nin with 3 Tomo Sharingan. If it weren't for the only chance, Hoshiki Zangetsu really wanted to run away. It's too dangerous to stay here. These four people can definitely kill Hoshiki Zangetsu together. But Hoshiki Zangetsu still wants to take a gamble. Don't think he is a very cautious person. He just wants to fish in troubled waters in this war. But Hoshiki Zangetsu is a bit crazy in his bones. Otherwise, he wouldn't have specified such a Tsunade attack plan. And now, Hoshiki Zangetsu really wants to take a gamble. Looking at the beautiful Uchiha Mikoto, Kitsune Zangetsu couldn't help licking his lips. Chapter 10. Uchiha Mikoto was slightly surprised when she saw Hoshiki Zangetsu avoiding her attack. Although she was not particularly good at illusion, she was able to break free from the illusion blessed by 3 Tomo Sharingan so quickly, which proved that the other party's attainments in illusion must be quite high. However, even if that was the case, she must kill the boy from Kirigakure on the opposite side today to avenge brother Oishi. Boy, since you know that we are from the Uchiha clan, why don't you run away quickly although you are doomed to die today? Uchiha Flame, who was responsible for protecting Uchiha Mikoto, spoke beside Uchiha Mikoto. He looked to be about 26 or 27 years old, and at this time he looked at Hoshiki Zangetsu with an arrogant look, and his eyes were no different from looking at a dead person. It was not only Uchiha Flame, but also Uchiha Ching and Uchiha Taro on the side who had the same attitude. They all had an arrogance that was difficult to conceal. This arrogance came from their Sharingan and from their surname Uchiha. What a stupid question. You said I can't escape, so why should I run away? Kizuki looked at Uchiha Flame with a look of idiocy, which made Uchiha Flame's face obviously stiff, and then a sword frosted. Looking for death. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The enraged Uchiha Flame didn't continue to talk nonsense with Kizuki, and raised his hand to shoot several shurikens. After the shuriken was shot, Uchiha Flame quickly formed a seal. Fire style, a great fireball technique. A huge fireball appeared, and the scorching temperature hit Kizuki's face, making Kizuki know the powerful crisis contained in this fireball. In theory, facing the attack of fire-attributed ninjutsu, water-attributed ninjutsu can be used to resist and counterattack. But Kizuki didn't do this. Because the collision of water and fire will produce a lot of water vapor. And in the water vapor, Sharingan's vision is obviously much better than Kizuki's ordinary eyes. I guess Uchiha Flame also has this idea. The body moved quickly, and before the shuriken and the great fireball arrived, Hoshiki Zangetsu had already avoided it and rushed towards Uchiha Flame. Seeing Hoshiki Zangetsu advancing instead of retreating, and charging head-on instead of running away, both Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Mikoto were shocked. But immediately, the 3 Uchiha Flames except Uchiha Mikoto showed a mocking expression. Don't overestimate your own abilities. Uchiha Ao spoke, and drew out the katana on his back, and rushed towards Hoshiki Zangetsu together with Uchiha Flame holding a kunao. And Uchiha Taro continued to guard Uchiha Mikoto. He didn't think he needed to take action himself. To deal with a young Mist Shinobi kid, Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Ao were enough. On the contrary, Uchiha Mikoto was not careless. She stared at Hoshiki Zangetsu with a serious face. As long as she had the chance, she would cast Sharingan illusion on Hoshiki Zangetsu and assist Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Ao to kill Hoshiki Zangetsu. Ding ding ding. In a blink of an eye, Hoshiki Zangetsu and the other two had already started fighting. As soon as the two sides came into contact, Hoshiki Zangetsu pretended to change his face. And Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Ao looked at each other with contempt. Because Hoshiki Zangetsu's power was obviously not as good as theirs. Of course, this was just their illusion, and it was the false information that Hojiki Zangetsu deliberately gave them. Ding ding ding. The three of them fought in a group, and the collision between Kunao and Katana, sparks flew and dinged. But it is not difficult to see that Hojiki Zangetsu has fallen into a disadvantage. After all, the opponent is 2 JA Nin, and they are JA Nin of the Uchiha clan. With the powerful insight and dynamic vision of the three Tomo Sharingan, as well as the many physical techniques they copied, the Uchiha clan ninjas have extraordinary talents in close combat. And most importantly, their Sharingan can release illusions without the need for hand seals. This made Zangetsu of Hojiki dare not look at them, and he needed to look away quickly after their eyes met. Fortunately, neither Uchiha Ching nor Uchiha Huoyan were very good at illusions, and they could not perform illusions like Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui, who could perform illusions the moment they looked at others. Otherwise, Zangetsu of Hojiki would have been forced to expose his ability of water transformation technique. Go to hell, kid. At a certain moment, Uchiha Ching caught Zangetsu of Hojiki's flaw. To be precise, it was Zangetsu of Hojiki who sold him the flaw. Puff. The sword in his hand fiercely slashed at Zangetsu of Hojiki's waist. Uchiha Ching was very confident in this knife, and determined that Zangetsu of Hojiki could not avoid it. So he went all out, trying to cut Zangetsu of Hojiki's waist with one knife, and send Zangetsu of Hojiki to the west. And the implementation was the same. Uchiha Ching succeeded. The sword in his hand fiercely slashed into the body of Kitano Kangyu, directly cutting Kitano Kangyu's body off. But it didn't completely cut it off. Because water can't cut it off. Water transformation technique. The time has come. Kitano Kangyu grabbed Uchiha Flame's arm with his left hand, and decisively used the water transformation technique to immunize Uchiha Ching's knife. Puff. The sound of the sharp blade cutting through flesh and blood rang out. Kitano Kangyu's kunao in his right hand fiercely cut Uchiha Ching's throat when Uchiha Ching was complacent because of his success, and doubts arose in his heart because of the wrong feel. Suddenly, blood gushed out. The blood from Uchiha Ching's throat spurted out, splashing Kitano Kangyu and Uchiha Flame. Ching! Uchiha Flame widened his eyes and roared subconsciously, and his mind was blank for a moment. Because all this happened too fast. In the last second, Uchiha Flame was sure that Uchiha Ao would cut Hojiki Zangetsu in half, but in the next second, Uchiha Ao's throat was cut by Hojiki Zangetsu. However, that was not all. Hojiki Zangetsu's left hand still tightly grasped Uchiha Flame's right wrist. He seized Uchiha Flame's momentary distraction and pulled hard. When Uchiha Flame's body was unstable, the kunao in his right hand suddenly stabbed down. However, Uchiha Flame was a JA Nin after all. He reacted at this critical moment. While trying to move his body, his left hand also punched Hojiki Zangetsu's face fiercely. Facing this punch, Hojiki Zangetsu did not dodge. Instead, he let this punch penetrate his head. Puff. Water splashed everywhere, and half of Hojiki Zangetsu's head was hit. But it did not affect him. His whole body had completely turned into water, and fell to the ground as a pool of water. But in just a moment, Hojiki Zangetsu recondensed his body and appeared behind Uchiha Flame. Flame, be careful. Uchiha Mikoto and Uchiha Taro's voices reached Uchiha Flame's ears. He was startled and subconsciously jumped away. But it was too late. Water cannon technique. Hojiki Zangetsu made his hand into a pistol shape, and instantly shot out a bullet-like liquid from the tip of his index finger, piercing Uchiha Flame's body from behind. The piercing position was exactly the heart. Chapter 11. Using his age and image to show weakness to the enemy, as well as the arrogance of the Uchiha clan, and deliberately revealing false information, Hojiki Zangetsu successfully killed Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Ao. It can only be said that in the ninja world, information is really too important. Hojiki Zangetsu understands the abilities of the Uchiha clan, and he understands the character of the Uchiha clan and their Sharingan too well. So in the battle, try not to make your eyes meet with the opponent to avoid being controlled by illusions. However, Uchiha Mikoto and the other four had no information about Hojiki Zangetsu. They could not imagine that this handsome boy who looked white, tender, and even weak would be a ninja of the Kirigakure Hojiki clan, and a genius with the strength of the elite JA Nin level. They could not imagine that such a genius ninja would appear in the scout team of Kirigakure. After all, let alone Kirigakure, even in Konoha village, how many elite JA Nin are there who would have thought that they would meet one here? Ching, Flame. Uchiha Taro was furious, and Uchiha Mikoto was heartbroken. They were all fine just now, but in the blink of an eye, Uchiha Ching and Uchiha Flame died in front of them. This is really satisfying to accept. Ding ding ding. Hojiki Kangyu and Uchiha Taro fought madly, and the arms of the two people waving kunao almost became after images. The collision of iron caused sparks to fly, which was dazzling in this somewhat dark forest. Uchiha Mikoto came to Uchiha Ching and hugged Uchiha Ching in his arms. Looking at Uchiha Ching who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, he knew he was at a loss. Ching, hold on, I will heal you, Madam, hurry up, go to the camp. Uchiha Ching interrupted Uchiha Mikoto and asked Uchiha Mikoto to leave quickly. He couldn't survive anymore. He could clearly feel his strength was draining away and his consciousness was blurring. At this moment, Uchiha Ching was very unwilling, but it was too late. He had to let go of all his unwillingness. The most important thing now was Uchiha Mikoto's safety. He could die here, and Uchiha Flame could die here, but Uchiha Mikoto must not die here. Uchiha Ching thought subconsciously. Seeing that Uchiha Mikoto, who was already in tears, did not move, he was anxious and opened his mouth to persuade Madam, this guy is very dangerous, hurry up, go. Not only Uchiha Ching, but Uchiha Taro, who was fighting with Hojiki Kengyu in close combat, also shouted Mikoto, go back to the camp to find someone, hurry up. After successfully defeating Uchiha Flame and Uchiha Ching, Hojiki Kengyu no longer needed to suppress his strength. He went all out to make Uchiha Taro clearly feel that this boy was definitely an enemy at the elite JA Nin level. If they knew from the beginning that this boy was an elite JA Nin, the four of them would take it seriously and go all out, and they could still kill this boy. But now it's too late. Uchiha Flame is dead, and Uchiha Ching is dying. With the strength of him and Uchiha Mikoto JA Nin, I'm afraid they are no match for this boy. So they can only retreat, and they must retreat. But he can't retreat before Uchiha Mikoto. It's his mission to protect Uchiha Mikoto. Even if he dies here, he can't let Uchiha Mikoto get hurt here. And Uchiha Mikoto, watching Uchiha Ching die in her arms, she was extremely sad. Ching. Tears kept falling from her eyes. Uchiha Mikoto stood up, and without listening to the advice of Uchiha Ching and Uchiha Taro, she decisively joined the battle. Uchiha Mikoto knew that she was the wife of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, and she also knew that Hojiki Zangetsu was very dangerous, but she still chose to fight. Because, she is not only the wife of the head of the Uchiha clan, but also the JA Nin of the Uchiha clan. If she abandons Uchiha Taro and escapes alone, Uchiha Mikoto will look down on herself and feel ashamed of her choice. She wants to stand by Uchiha Taro. Even if she dies here. Seeing Uchiha Mikoto joining the battle, Uchiha Taro was anxious, while Kitanzuki was happy. He was really afraid that Uchiha Mikoto would leave at a reasonable time. If that happened, today's battle would lose its meaning. Since Uchiha Mikoto stayed, the next step would be easy. Ding ding ding. Fire Stylia Great Fireball Technique I 1/4 Water Stylia Great Waterfall Technique I 1/4 Fire Stylia Great Fire Dragon Technique I 1/4 Ziz. Water Stylia Water Cannon Technique I 1/4 Water Transformation Technique I 1/4 Various fire and water ninjutsu appeared. Uchiha Taro and Uchiha Mikoto cooperated with each other, using ninjutsu and illusion to assist in the attack while fighting in close combat. And Hojiki Zangetsu used water style to suppress Uchiha Mikoto and his friends. But this suppression was only temporary, and it was entirely due to the suppression of ninjutsu attributes. Hojiki Zangetsu was only 17 years old after all, and his body had not fully grown yet. The amount of chakra in his body was obviously not as good as that of Uchiha Taro and Uchiha Mikoto. The endless use of ninjutsu collisions, the final result was that Hojiki Zangetsu was consumed by a large amount of chakra, and he eventually either escaped or died. Uchiha Taro and Uchiha Mikoto also understood this truth, so the two cooperated and tried their best to force Kitano Kengyu to use ninjutsu. But their ideas were good, but they could not achieve the effect when they were implemented. Because Kitano Kengyu noticed the situation and decisively changed his tactics, choosing to fight with one of Uchiha Taro and Uchiha Mikoto, so that the other dared not use ninjutsu with large-scale attacks, fearing that it would affect his companions. This is the difference between the two sides. If the roles were reversed at this time, Kitano Kengyu and the Kitano clan besieged an unbeatable opponent in Konoha, then once there was a chance, Kitano Kengyu would definitely take action decisively without considering the safety of his clan members. After all, I would rather die than die with my comrades. The feelings of the same clan are better than life. Ding ding ding. Another collision and confrontation, Uchiha Taro became more anxious. Mikoto, go. Don't let the flames and King Bebe die. Uchiha Taro spoke loudly again, reminding Uchiha Mikoto to leave quickly. He has clearly realized that even if he and Uchiha Mikoto join forces, they are no match for the boy in front of him. If they continue to fight, I am afraid that the most terrible ending will appear. He and Uchiha Mikoto will die here. Stop talking, I won't leave. Unfortunately, Uchiha Mikoto still refused. This is probably a common problem of Konoha shinobi. The ninjas of Konoha really value their companions. It's really enviable. Hojiki Zangetsu sighed in his heart. The movements of his hands became faster. Finally, at a certain moment, Hojiki Zangetsu seized the opportunity. Puff. This time, using the characteristics of the hydration technique that can be immune to physical attacks, Hojiki Zangetsu unexpectedly stabbed the kunao in his hand into Uchiha Taro's lower abdomen. Taro. Looking at Uchiha Mikoto who was supporting Uchiha Taro and retreating quickly, Hojiki Zangetsu licked his lips. Finally, the strangers were dealt with. Then, next, I can finally have close contact with my wife. Chapter 12. Uchiha Taro had a kunao stuck in his abdomen, and blood was constantly flowing out of the wound. If he was treated quickly, he could still save his life. But there was obviously no such condition here. Uchiha Mikoto didn't know medical ninjutsu, and Hojiki Zangetsu wouldn't let Uchiha Taro escape, so Uchiha Taro's fate was naturally doomed. It's not that easy to escape. Seeing Uchiha Mikoto supporting Uchiha Taro and trying to escape, Hojiki Zangetsu hurried to catch up. He was very fast, and Hojiki Zangetsu, who was a JA Nin level physical skill, was faster than Uchiha Mikoto. In addition, Uchiha Mikoto was supporting Uchiha Taro, a half-dead burden, so her speed was even slower, and she was soon caught up by Hojiki Zangetsu. Blocked in front of Uchiha Mikoto, Hojiki Zangetsu looked at Uchiha Mikoto, who was panting with tears on his face, and raised the corners of his mouth. Madam, hurry, run. Uchiha Taro seemed to have a last burst of energy. A surge of power surged in his body, and he pushed Uchiha Mikoto away. He rushed towards Hojiki Zangetsu, trying to hold Hojiki Zangetsu and let Uchiha Mikoto escape. But with Uchiha Taro's current state, he could not hold Hojiki Zangetsu. However, Hojiki Zangetsu was very cautious. Even though he was confident that he could quickly deal with Uchiha Taro, he did not give Uchiha Taro a chance to get close. This is the ninja world. Although Hojiki Zangetsu knew that the biggest trump card of the Uchiha clan was Sharingan and knew almost all of Sharingan's abilities, who could tell whether Uchiha Taro would still hide some means to kill him or injure him. If he was tricked in this last step of success, it would be a big loss. So Hojiki Zangetsu just raised his hands. Water style, a water cannon technique. Bullets formed of water shot out from the fingertips of Hojiki Kangyu, and sank into Uchiha Taro's body in an instant, splashing blood all over his body. Plop. Uchiha Taro fell down with his eyes wide open. Taro. Uchiha Mikoto cried out in grief again. Seeing Uchiha Taro die in front of her eyes, the pain in her heart had reached a critical point. Her body trembled, tears kept flowing from her eyes, and her breathing became rapid. This startled Hojiki Kangyu. Uchiha Mikoto, will he awaken Mangekyo? Sharingan. Thinking of this possibility, Hojiki Kangyu was horrified. He no longer hesitated and quickly approached Uchiha Mikoto. Now that success was within reach, it would be too unbearable to fail like this. So even if Uchiha Mikoto had the possibility of awakening Mangekyo Sharingan, Hojiki Kangyu decided to take the risk. Fortunately, Uchiha Mikoto's Sharingan did not evolve after all. She was almost stimulated. It was at a critical point. Soon, Hojiki Zangetsu and Uchiha Mikoto fought. Uchiha Mikoto was angry, and her whole strength seemed to have increased. But she was a female ninja after all, and physical skills were not her forte. And Uchiha Mikoto was good at illusions, but she had no chance to use them because Hojiki Zangetsu did not look at her. So, Uchiha Mikoto was not Hojiki Zangetsu's opponent. Not long after the two fought, Uchiha Mikoto was seized by Hojiki Zangetsu and hit in the lower abdomen, making her lose strength. And Hojiki Zangetsu did not give Uchiha Mikoto a chance to recover her strength. He locked Uchiha Mikoto's body and hugged her tightly, and then took Uchiha Mikoto and jumped directly into the river beside. Soon, the forest returned to silence. Only Uchiha Taro's corpse was left with his eyes wide open. In fact, if possible, Hojiki Zangetsu wanted to dig out the Sharingan of Uchiha Taro and the other two. But there was no chance now. He also had no potion to save the eyes of the three. Moreover, the final thing now was undoubtedly another matter. Swimming quickly in the river with Uchiha Mikoto, who was struggling frantically in Hojiki Zangetsu's arms, soon lost his strength and fainted due to suffocation. Of course, Hojiki Zangetsu only made Uchiha Mikoto faint, and would not let Uchiha Mikoto drown directly. He held Uchiha Mikoto tightly and followed the flow of the river, and landed in a place where no one seemed to be. Splash! Holding Uchiha Mikoto out of the river, Hojiki Zangetsu looked around cautiously, and after making sure that there were no people nearby, he left quickly. After leaving the river, Hojiki Zangetsu began to look for a secret place to live, and soon he found a cave. Although the environment is not good, I can only make do with it. Hotspot Kangyu muttered to himself, then put Uchiha Mikoto down and let her lie on the ground. At this time, Uchiha Mikoto's clothes were wet and dripping because she had been soaked in the river for too long. Her face was also very pale, and she looked bloodless, but she unexpectedly looked like a sick beauty. I'm so sorry, I didn't want to. It's all the system's fault. There are bad people in the system. Which coder can withstand such a test? I can't stand it, I really can't stand it. Hotspot Kangyu muttered to himself, then took off his clothes and spread them on the ground. If possible, no one wants to fall into darkness. But reality always makes people helpless. This is a very dangerous world. Without sufficient strength, you can't control your own destiny, and you will be killed by others like stepping on an ant. In order to gain power, Hotspot Kangyu can only sell his conscience and become the kind of person he hated the most before. Because he no longer wanted to, he could only watch himself have the opportunity to become stronger, but he couldn't do anything. So Hojiki Zangetsu moved. After about 10 minutes, perhaps because of the discomfort caused by some shaking, or because of the long-lost warmth, Uchiha Mikoto woke up faintly. When she realized what Hojiki Zangetsu was doing to her, Uchiha Mikoto's eyes turned red. Then a special chakra was secreted and rushed into her eyes, causing Uchiha Mikoto's eyes to change. But before Uchiha Mikoto could do anything, Hojiki Zangetsu, who noticed it, knocked her out directly, and then continued his actions. This thing is a bit addictive. Which man can resist something fragrant, soft, and warm? Ding. Congratulations host, the progress of the Uchiha Mikoto strategy has reached 51%. Chapter 13. Sizzle, sizzle. The burning firewood made a sizzling sound, and the firelight slightly illuminated the dark cave and brought some warmth to the people in the cave. But Uchiha Mikoto could not feel any warmth at this time. Her eyes were dull, and she sat on the ground with her hands on her knees, saying nothing. Next to Uchiha Mikoto, Hojiki Kangyu was grilling fish. He had consumed too much physical strength before and needed to replenish energy. Eat a little. Although the taste may not be very good, it can make your body feel comfortable. After blowing the grilled fish to his mouth, Hojiki Kangyu gently tore off some fish meat and handed it to Uchiha Mikoto. Hearing this, Uchiha Mikoto looked up at Hojiki Kangyu. Looking at the handsome face in front of him, Uchiha Mikoto felt complicated. She clearly remembered everything that had happened since they met. She knew that Hojiki Zangetsu had killed her former senior Oishi, and her 3 guards Uchiha Hoyan, Uchiha Ching, and Uchiha Taro. And he also bullied her. She felt that she was no longer worthy of being Uchiha Fugaku's wife, and no longer worthy of being Uchiha Ataka's mother. So, there should be a blood feud between her and Hojiki Zangetsu. There was no way they could sit together peacefully like this. But the reality was that her heart had changed. In her heart, she had developed a good impression of Hojiki Zangetsu. She should have killed the boy in front of her with a knife, but she developed a good impression of him, which prevented her from attacking him. This feeling made Uchiha Mikoto feel complicated and even a little collapsed. But she couldn't control herself. Thank you. After thanking him, Uchiha Mikoto took the fish meat handed over by Hojiki Zangetsu and ate it in small bites. The hot fish meat even gave her a warm feeling. This is ridiculous. But the fact is that, looking at Uchiha Mikoto who was eating fish meat quietly, Hojiki Kangyu smiled with satisfaction. He looked at the bracelet on Uchiha Mikoto's hand, and couldn't help but sigh again. Love without regret, the item reward he got when he activated the system that year. The reason why Uchiha Mikoto's mind is so awkward, the reason why he made such an abnormal move, and the birth of such a ridiculous move, are all because of love without regret. Love without regret blocked the retreat of Uchiha Mikoto's strategy progress, so that Uchiha Mikoto's strategy progress will not be less than 51%, and Uchiha Mikoto's feelings for Hojiki Kangyu will not be less than goodwill. And it is a moderate goodwill. It is for this reason that the two of them can sit together peacefully and do such a slightly warm thing. It can only be said that the props of the rule system are so terrifying. Guiden Kangyu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This thing, if used well, can definitely create miracles. It is worthy of being the only prop issued since the system was activated so far. In fact, the item No Regrets of Love was originally intended for Tsunade by Hojiki Kangyu. Even though Uchiha Mikoto unexpectedly appeared on the battlefield, Hojiki Kangyu had no intention of using it on Uchiha Mikoto. His previous idea was to get the reward from Uchiha Mikoto and then leave directly, or send Uchiha Mikoto on his way. After all, this is the wife of Uchiha Fugaku, the current head of the Uchiha clan. Once she is safely returned and Uchiha Fugaku knows what he did to Uchiha Mikoto, there is no doubt that Uchiha Fugaku will chase Hojiki Kangyu to the ends of the earth, and the two will definitely fight to the death. This is obviously not in Hojiki Kangyu's own interests. But plans cannot keep up with changes, and Hojiki Kangyu did not expect that Uchiha Mikoto could bring him such a big gain. According to the system strategy progress division, there is no reward in the 0 to 20% stranger stage. In the 21 to 40% passerby stage, you can get one piece of information about the strategy target every day. At this stage, the use can be big or small, depending on how it is used, but in general, this is not a reward that can make Zangetsu Kizuki immediately gain something. However, it is different at the 41 to 60% favorability stage. The reward is an ability that allows Zangetsu Kizuki to randomly obtain a target for strategy. Although it is said to be random, the ability obtained is substantial. At Zangetsu Kizuki's current growth stage, many abilities of Uchiha Mikoto, who is at the JA-nin level, have a certain improvement effect on Zangetsu Kizuki. Especially Uchiha Mikoto's bloodline and her 3 Tomo Sharingan. This is what Zangetsu Kizuki covets. For this possibility, Zangetsu Kizuki chose to take a gamble, put himself in danger, and take a chance. And this time, Zangetsu Kizuki undoubtedly won the gamble. And it was a big win. What he got was beyond Zangetsu Kizuki's expectations, making Zangetsu Kizuki himself call his luck heaven-defying. Because the ability he randomly got from Uchiha Mikoto was Sharingan. And it was not the 3 Tomo Sharingan that Zangetsu Hojiki had been coveting, but the main Jakaya Sharingan. Yes, the main Jakaya Sharingan. Uchiha Mikoto awakened the main Jakaya Sharingan. Just when she woke up and found Zangetsu Hojiki having an in-depth conversation with her, Uchiha Mikoto, who was on the verge of awakening her eyes because of the death of the 3 Uchiha flames, was directly stimulated to awaken the main Jakaya Sharingan because of the bursting of emotions such as shame, despair, and anger. After an in-depth conversation with Uchiha Mikoto, the random reward that Zangetsu Hojiki got when he obtained the reward was exactly the main Jakaya Sharingan that Uchiha Mikoto had just awakened. This kind of luck is simply heaven-defying. It made Zangetsu Hojiki himself stunned. It is for this reason that Zangetsu Kizuki decisively used the item Love Without Regret on Uchiha Mikoto, locking Uchiha Mikoto's progress. Because after awakening main Jakaya Sharingan, Uchiha Mikoto's value to Zangetsu Kizuki has become too great. Progress 61 to 70%, ambiguity, randomly obtain an ability of the target and strengthen it. Progress 71 to 80%, couple, obtain an ability of the target and strengthen it. Zangetsu Kizuki needs to complete these 2 stages, especially the couple stage of 71% 80% progress. The reason is naturally to obtain the blood of the Uchiha clan from Uchiha Mikoto and strengthen his existing main Jakaya Sharingan. For Zangetsu Kizuki, this matter is even a must. On the one hand, the eternal main Jakaya Sharingan is too tempting. On the other hand, it is because good and bad are interdependent. Without the blood of the Uchiha clan, his body's chakra consumption reached a point where it seriously hindered him after his eyes were transformed into the main Jakaya Sharingan. Moreover, if the main Jakaya Sharingan is overused, it will eventually cause blindness. Chapter 14. For Zangetsu Hojiki, getting the Mangekaya Sharingan randomly from Uchiha Mikoto was a pleasant surprise, and a huge surprise. This greatly improved Zangetsu Hojiki's strength, and it was a pair of eyes that could quickly allow him to enter the cage level. But these eyes also brought a big problem to Zangetsu Hojiki. That is the consumption of chakra. Zangetsu Hojiki is not a member of the Uchiha clan after all, and does not have the blood of the Uchiha clan. So, Zangetsu Hojiki became Hitaki Kakashi. His Sharingan can't be closed. It will be open all the time. Even if it can be maintained in the form of Megatama. But even so, because he is not of Uchiha blood, the chakra consumed by opening two Sharingans all the time is also a huge burden for Zangetsu Hojiki. Zangetsu Hojiki must find a way to solve this problem. There are two solutions in Zangetsu Hojiki's opinion. One is to solve the blood problem, that is, to obtain the blood of the Uchiha clan, or to obtain blood that can match the Sharingan. The other is to solve the chakra problem. If the chakra of Hojomi Zangetsu is the same as that of Senju Hashirama Naruto, then the consumption of Sharingan for him is not worth mentioning. For these two methods, Hojomi Zangetsu can solve it from Tsunade, because Tsunade's physique is the physique of the Senju clan, and the degree of compatibility with Sharingan is not worse than that of the Uchiha clan. It can also be solved from Uzumaki. The blood of the Uzumaki clan are all people with a lot of chakra. If Hojomi Zangetsu obtains the physique of the Uzumaki clan, even if it is not compatible with Sharingan, he can withstand the consumption of Sharingan. In addition to the blood of the Uzumaki clan, Uzumaki also has 9 tails. If Zangetsu Hojiki could draw 9 tails chakra, or 9 tails, then he wouldn't have to worry about the chakra consumption problem caused by Sharingan. But chakra consumption is easy to solve, but the problem of blindness after excessive use of Mangekaya Sharingan and the subsequent evolution problem are not so easy to solve. This is why Zangetsu Hojiki was very decisive and used love without regret on Uchiha Mikoto without hesitation. Unless Zangetsu Hojiki really draws Senju blood from Tsunade, so that Zangetsu Hojiki can use Mangekaya abilities without limit and without blindness like Uchiha Obito. Even if he really draws it, the eternal Mangekaya Sharingan above Mangekaya Sharingan is also a problem. It is difficult to rely on Tsunade to solve these two problems. It is better to choose Uchiha Mikoto directly. Because there are still 9 years before Uchiha Mikoto died on the night of genocide in the original work. In these 9 years, Hojiki Zangetsu didn't believe that he couldn't conquer Uchiha Mikoto. After all, the ability of his Mangekaya Sharingan is really suitable for this kind of thing. Thinking about the ability of his Mangekaya Sharingan, Hojiki Zangetsu raised the corners of his mouth. His Mangekaya Sharingan, or the Mangekaya Sharingan of him and Uchiha Mikoto, are all mental illusions. The pupil technique of the left eye is called 3000 illusions, which can pull the mental power of the person who sees this eye into the endless world of illusions, making them sink and go crazy in the world of illusions. The 3000 fantasy worlds are very similar to Uchiha Attackist Tsukuyomi, both of which pull the opponent's mental power into a special space. But there is a difference between the two. In Uchiha Attackist Tsukuyomi space, all factors including time, place, quality, etc. are controlled by the caster. The caster can create everything in the Tsukuyomi space, and can even stretch time in the Tsukuyomi space to the terrible extent that 3 days in the Tsukuyomi space have passed, while only 1 second in real time has passed. The 3000 fantasy worlds are different. The space of the 3000 fantasy worlds is a space that is constantly born and destroyed, and the generation and destruction of space is dominated by the opponent's thoughts and consciousness. In other words, the person who is pulled into the 3000 fantasy worlds, the illusory world he is deeply trapped in is created by his own imagination. The more you think, the more complicated the fantasy world is. The less you think, the simpler the fantasy world is. The birth and death of the fantasy world is completely in line with the thoughts and consciousness of the person who is hit. But this does not mean that as long as the victim does not think about it or realizes the nature of the 3000 fantasy worlds, he can escape from the 3000 fantasy worlds. Because the entry and exit of the 3000 fantasy worlds are determined by the caster. As long as the caster does not take the initiative to unlock this technique, the victim cannot escape from the 3000 fantasy worlds even if he does not think about anything or thinks about anything. This pupil technique is more like a mental cage than a mental illusion. When the victim's mind is locked in the cage of the 3000 fantasy worlds, his body in reality will become like a vegetable. And other people have no ability to bring his mental power back from the 3000 fantasy worlds space. Only the caster can return the victim's mental power to the body. It can be said that the 3000 fantasy worlds are so terrifying. But the 3000 fantasy worlds are not invincible, and they also have shortcomings. The first is mental power. If the mental power gap between the caster and the victim is not big, then the victim can completely break the space of the 3000 fantasy worlds and crack the 3000 fantasy world pupil technique. However, this shortcoming is not a big problem. At present, only the Sage of Six Paths, Aoi Satsuki clan, and other creatures can achieve this level. Apart from those people, even Uchiha Madara of the Eternal Mangekaya and the peak Senju Hashirama cannot break the 3000 fantasy worlds. But this does not mean that Kizuna Kangyu can kill these people with the 3000 fantasy worlds. Because the 3000 fantasy worlds have another shortcoming. The caster needs to use mental power to suppress and block the entrance and exit of the 3000 fantasy worlds. The specific amount of mental power used is affected by the mental strength of the person who is hit and his own will. The higher the mental strength of the person who is hit, the more determined his will is, and the sooner he sees through the essence of the 3000 fantasy worlds, the more mental power the caster needs to use, and at most he needs to use all his mental power, which means that he will completely lose control of his body like the other party. However, this situation is rare, because the 3000 fantasy worlds belong to the caster's pupil technique, so the caster has the blessing of the home field. For enemies with the same level of mental power, even if the opponent sees through the essence of the 3000 fantasy worlds and wakes up from the virtual space, the caster only needs to use 70% of his spirit at most. In other words, when dealing with enemies with the same level of mental power, as long as the opponent is hit, the opponent's body will be directly out of control, and the caster still has at least 30% of mental power to control the body in reality. Although 30% of mental power will make the caster's control of the real body very slow and difficult, it can still control the body. This means that if it is a one-on-one situation without other people present, Guiden Kenyu can use the 3000 fantasy worlds to pull the mental power of any opponent with the same level of mental power into the 3000 fantasy worlds, and he controls his own body and kills the opponent's body. Chapter 15. Using the 3000 fantasy realms, Guiden Kenyu can completely lose control of the opponent's body in a one-on-one situation, and become at the mercy of others. But this is a one-on-one situation. Once the opponent has a helper to protect his body, he can't do anything to the opponent, and can only forcibly detain the opponent's mental power until the pupil technique is exhausted and the opponent is released. And if the opponent has a helper, and Guiden Kenyu himself has no helper, then with a body controlled by 30% of mental power, under that kind of combat power, Guiden Kenyu himself will also fall into a terrible crisis. Therefore, this technique must not be used in a one-on-many situation. In a one-on-one situation, don't hesitate, use it directly. Of course, using 70% of mental power to suppress and blockade is the most undesirable situation. This situation means that the opponent's will is too firm, and the illusion is useless to him, and he can directly see through the essence of the 3000 fantasy realms. As long as the opponent cannot see through the essence of the 3000 fantasy realms, his will be worn out in the endless illusion of the 3000 fantasy realms, his spirit will sink, and finally his mental power will collapse. The weaker the opponent's will is, the easier it is to sink, and the less mental power that Hojiki Zangetsu needs to suppress and block the entrance and exit of the 3000 fantasy worlds. In general, this is a one-on-one divine art. In a one-on-one situation where neither side has help from others, it is even more outrageous than Uchiha Attackist Tsukuyomi. After all, Uchiha Attackist Tsukuyomi cannot let him kill the opponent's body when the opponent is hit. The second eye technique of Hojiki Zangetsu and Uchiha Mikoto is a hypnosis eye technique called mind transfer. If the 3000 fantasy worlds is compared to Tsukuyomi, then mind transfer is a low-profile version of distinguished heavenly gods. Distinguished heavenly gods can directly invade the opponent's brain without being discovered by the opponent, modify the opponent's will, and make the opponent unconsciously controlled, so that they can win without causing disputes. The effect of mind transfer is to deeply hypnosis the opponent, so that the opponent's thoughts and will slowly change silently. This kind of change is subtle and silent. Although it cannot change a person's will instantly, it can make the other party make the choice the caster wants at certain critical moments. Hypnosis again and again, changes again and again, can eventually make the other party completely become what the caster wants. This skill, if given to other people, may seem very useless, especially compared to the 3000 fantasy worlds. But for Guiden Kenyu, it is a more useful skill than the 3000 fantasy worlds. Because Guiden Kenyu can completely use this pupil technique to make progress in the strategy of the target. Especially with the rule props ai wu hui, this is simply a strategy cheat. This is also the reason why Guiden Kenyu decisively chose Uchiha Mikoto and was 100% sure to completely conquer Uchiha Mikoto. Because he can use his mind to slowly hypnosis Uchiha Mikoto and strengthen his relationship with Uchiha Mikoto. Once Uchiha Mikoto is affected and her attack rate increases, under the effect of love without regret, this feeling and attack progress will be maintained and will not decrease even if Uchiha Mikoto comes to her senses. In this way, attacking Uchiha Mikoto is no longer a dream, but becomes a future that can be expected and clearly visible. The only pity is that this eye technique can only have this miraculous effect on the target of the attack wearing the love without regret bracelet. If it is another target, once the other party finds out that he is under hypnosis, his attack rate may decrease instead of increase. But it doesn't matter, love without regret can be bound to one person. Once Uchiha Mikoto's attack rate is raised to the level of a couple, Hojiki Kenyu can unbind love without regret from Uchiha Mikoto and bind it to another target of the attack. It's a bit cold, don't catch a cold. Hojiki Kenyu looked at Uchiha Mikoto who was curled up and spoke. He came to Uchiha Mikoto and sat next to her, put his arm around her shoulders and let her lean against his body. Uchiha Mikoto did not resist. With the progress of the strategy of good feelings, this behavior would not disgust Uchiha Mikoto. Feeling the warmth and softness of the body, Hojiki Kenyu raised the corners of his mouth. Ai wahui is such a good thing. He sighed again in his heart. Mikoto, can I call you that by the way, my name is Kenyu, Hojiki Kenyu. You can call me Kenyu. Hugging Uchiha Mikoto gently, Hojiki Kenyu spoke softly. Yet. Uchiha Mikoto nodded, remembering Hojiki Kenyu's name in his heart. The weather is getting colder, and it won't be long before it snows. Hojiki Kenyu continued to speak, and then continued in a nostalgic tone every time it snows, I don't want to move, I just want to lie at home, lie by the stove for a day, drink tea, eat snacks, don't have to think about the mission, and don't have to worry about whether I will die in the next mission. That kind of life is really comfortable. If I can have a wife as gentle as you, Mikoto, it would be even better. It will make people addicted. Hojiki Kangyu said, turning his head to look at Uchiha Mikoto's face close at hand. However, Uchiha Mikoto didn't seem to be moved at all. She has a favorable impression of Hojiki Zangetsu, but this only means that Uchiha Mikoto regards Hojiki Zangetsu as a young man with whom she has a favorable impression. If Uchiha Mikoto's progress in the attack on Hojiki Zangetsu was not controlled by Ai Wahui, she would definitely regard Hojiki Zangetsu as a frivolous playboy and reduce her favorability towards Hojiki Zangetsu. After all, she already has a husband and children. Seeing that Uchiha Mikoto did not respond, Hojiki Zangetsu did not give up. He continued to talk about some words he saw on the internet in his previous life, such as emotional confession, emotional resonance, and providing emotional value. He wanted to deepen the relationship between him and Uchiha Mikoto and improve the attack progress on Uchiha Mikoto. However, it was useless. Hojiki Zangetsu's words were just playing the lute to a cow. Uchiha Mikoto was not affected at all. But this is normal. How could Uchiha Mikoto have a crush on Hojiki after Hojiki killed Uchiha Mikoto's senior Oishi, killed her 3 guards, and did that to her again? If it weren't for Ai Wahui, Uchiha Mikoto would definitely use her Mangekyo Sharingan on Hojiki without hesitation. She would kill Hojiki without hesitation. Hojiki knew that this would probably have no effect, but he still wanted to try. But as expected, it still ended in failure. This made Hojiki silent. It seems that there is only another way. He thought about it, and suddenly attacked Uchiha Mikoto and knocked him out. After knocking Uchiha Mikoto unconscious, Hojiki Zangetsu tied up Uchiha Mikoto's hands and feet, and then... It should work, hiss, hurry up. When Uchiha Mikoto woke up, she saw a pair of eyes looking down at her from close at hand, and there was a beautiful 4-leaf clover pattern in those eyes. Don't think about anything, just enjoy it. Hojiki Zangetsu's succubus-like voice came, making Uchiha Mikoto dazed. Chapter 16. In the deep forest. Late at night. A woman in her 20s was jumping quickly in the forest. Her clothes were very messy and covered in mud. She looked very embarrassed. Who is it? A sudden voice stopped the woman. Uchiha Mikoto. The woman spoke, and the 3 Tomo Sharingan in her eyes was enough to prove the credibility of her words. Mikoto-sama. According to the time, Mikoto should return to the Konoha camp. In another place in the deep forest, in a cave, Hojiki Kangyu put out the fire in front of him. He stood up and stretched, walked out of the cave, jumped up, and jumped onto a big tree in a few steps. After reaching the top of the tree, the sky covered by dense branches and leaves came into view again. At this time, the moon was shining brightly and the stars were dotted. It was a very good weather. Just as good as Hojiki Kangyu's mood at this time. It's a pity that the pleasure brought by the flesh can only increase the progress of the strategy to 62%, which is far from 81%. Just now, Hojiki Kangyu has been using the eye technique of telepathy and his extraordinary strengths to communicate with Uchiha Mikoto in a simple and easy to understand way. His superb skills and energetic energy made Uchiha Mikoto couldn't help but marvel and convinced, and the progress of the strategy increased from 51% to the ambiguous stage of 62%. But unfortunately, after reaching the progress of 62%, no matter how skillful Hojiki Kangyu was, he couldn't go any further. But it's enough. I didn't expect my luck to be so heaven-defying that I randomly got Mikoto's Uchiha bloodline and strengthened it, which directly solved the problem of my Mangekyo Sharingan not matching my body. Moreover, the strengthened Uchiha bloodline allows me to use the power of Mangekyo Sharingan almost unlimitedly, just like Uchiha Obito who has transplanted Hashirama cells, and minimize the side effects of using Mangekyo Sharingan. Is this kind of luck just right? Hojiki Kangyu muttered to himself. Until now, he is still a little dazed and feels very unreal. After all, his luck is really too cheating. The first time he randomly got Uchiha Mikoto's Mangekyo Sharingan, the second time he randomly got Uchiha Mikoto's Uchiha bloodline constitution. This probability is really too small, just like drawing 6 gold cards in 10 consecutive draws in Genshin Impact. However, it is not impossible to draw 6 gold cards in 10 consecutive draws. There are really people who have drawn such an outrageous thing. So, I am the super supreme and invincible European emperor very likely. Next, I will go to the Iwagakure battlefield. I hope Uchiha Fugaku will not let me down. After sighing at his invincible luck, Hojiki Kangyu looked in the direction of the Iwagakure battlefield. He decided to meet Uchiha Fugaku, his rival in love. I hope that this rival in love can bring me the same benefits as Mikoto. Hojiki Kangyu thought to himself and couldn't help but look at the system in his mind again. His system has updated new content again. Just when Hojiki Kangyu had reached 61% of the Uchiha Mikoto strategy and the relationship between the two reached an ambiguous stage, the system updated a new version. The section called Rival in Love. Uchiha Fugaku is the rival of Hojiki Zangetsu as determined by the system. Because his relationship with Uchiha Mikoto is at the level of a couple, which is higher than Hojiki Zangetsu. Hojiki Zangetsu wants to take his relationship with Uchiha Mikoto to the next level. In addition to normal emotional cultivation, defeating his rival is also an indirect way to improve it. Of course, if it is only to improve the progress of the strategy, and it is an indirect improvement, Hojiki Zangetsu may not necessarily decide to find Uchiha Fugaku. He would rather take Uchiha Mikoto away directly, find a paradise where no one will disturb him, and communicate with Uchiha Mikoto day and night to cultivate their relationship. But the system gave too much. Defeat the rival, and you can get some ability from the rival. This sentence is so tempting that Hojiki Zangetsu can hardly refuse. Uchiha Fugaku, that guy, now has the main Jikaya Sharingan. If he defeats him, and gets Uchiha Fugaku's main Jikaya Sharingan, Hojiki Zangetsu is very tempted. Of course, besides being tempted by Uchiha Fugaku's eyes, Hojiki Zangetsu has other ideas. He wants to try to replace Uchiha Fugaku and infiltrate Konoha. Even if he can't replace him, Hojiki Zangetsu wants to control Uchiha Fugaku and let himself infiltrate the Uchiha clan. After all, the 5 candidates given for Hojiki Zangetsu's capture are all from Konoha, and 3 of them are directly in Konoha. Entering Konoha is undoubtedly a good choice. Anyway, his current body is also the blood of the Uchiha clan, and he also has Sharingan. As long as the Uchiha clan gives him a reasonable identity, Konoha will never doubt him. And entering Konoha and becoming a Konoha person means that Hojiki Zangetsu can capture the object that he almost decided to give up before, Uzumaki Juxingna. The value of her is not low. The blood of the Uzumaki clan, the 9 tails in the body, the sealing technique that he knows, etc., are all things that Kitano Kangyu covets. A&D. The 2-stage rewards of 91 to 99% and 100% of the strategy progress are the reasons why Kitano Kangyu is willing to take the risk. Even though Kitano Kangyu doesn't know what the rewards for these 2 stages are now, the rewards for the previous stages are so outrageous, and the rewards for those 2 stages will definitely not be bad. If he gives up like this, Kitano Kangyu has a hunch that he may regret it in the future. Kitano Kangyu is a somewhat crazy guy. He likes the excitement brought by this kind of gambling, so he gambled. Of course, in addition to this reason, Kitano Kangyu also has another purpose. He doesn't want Uchiha Mikoto and Uchiha Fugaku to continue to be together in the future. Uchiha Mikoto is his woman now. Before leaving, let's settle the old grudge first. Retracting his thoughts, Kitano Kangyu jumped down from the tree canopy and quickly disappeared into the forest. He is definitely a person who bears grudges, and he always believes in revenge. If the ability allows, he will take revenge on the spot. Hojiki Jianyu and his son tricked him, and there was also the guy Wu. These 3 people have been on Hojiki Kangyu's must-kill list. Not killing them is not enough to calm down. So before leaving, Hojiki Kangyu decided to get rid of those 3 guys. That night, Uchiha Mikoto returned to Konoha. She did not tell the information of Hojiki Kangyu, but only said that she encountered the elite Nin of the Hojiki clan and finally escaped with difficulty. No one would doubt Uchiha Mikoto. After all, Uchiha Mikoto disappeared for only 6 or 7 hours. Even if someone doubted, no one dared to touch Uchiha Mikoto and explore her memory. This is the wife of the head of the Uchiha clan. If Uchiha Mikoto is attacked at such a critical time, if it causes the Uchiha clan to rebel, Konoha will be destroyed. Chapter 17. The night is getting darker. In the camp of Kirigakure, except for the ninjas who were still patrolling and standing guard, all other ninjas have fallen asleep. After returning, Kizuki Zangetsu did not alarm the patrolling ninjas, but used the water transformation technique to sneak into the camp and went to the area of Ayuro the Kizuki clan. There were also ninjas from the Kizuki clan on duty here, but their strength was too weak to find any trace of Kizuki Zangetsu. In a tent, Kizuki Zangetsu looked at Kizuki Jianyu who was sleeping soundly, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised. This guy seemed to be sleeping peacefully, and he should be dreaming of something. Kizuki Jianyu. Kizuki Zangetsu kicked Kizuki Jianyu with his foot, waking Kizuki Jianyu from his deep sleep, a ghost. After waking up, Kizuki Jianyu subconsciously wanted to exclaim, but was stopped by Kizuki Zangetsu. He glared at the Sharingan, and the illusion from Uchiha Mikoto was activated, making Kitsune Mikoto's body stiff, as if he was bound by something and couldn't move. But the horror in Kitsune Mikoto's eyes was clearly visible. The Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. How could Kitsune Mikoto not recognize this kind of eyes that are famous in the ninja world in this war? He imagined how to deal with it if he met a ninja from the Uchiha clan. However, Kitsune Mikoto never thought that he would see this pair of eyes from Kitsune Mikoto. So, this is definitely not Kitsune Mikoto. A ninja from the Uchiha clan sneaked in, Kitsune Mikoto thought in his heart. But immediately, this idea was broken. Because Kitsune Mikoto spoke. You look surprised. Are you surprised that I'm still alive, or are you surprised by my eyes, or both? Kitsune Mikoto said, revealing a playful smile. Speaking of which, I can have this pair of eyes. In fact, I have to thank you for creating a good opportunity for me. If it weren't for you, I might have missed this pair of eyes. So, to thank you, I decided to share this pair of intoxicating eyes with you, this pair of such charming eyes. Not only you, but also your father, none of them will. So, are you ready? Gui Denkengyu said, the Megatama in his eyes turned, and a beautiful and somewhat enchanting 4-leaf clover pattern appeared. 3000 fantasy worlds. As Gui Denkenyu's pupil technique was activated, Gui Dengjianyu's whole body softened and fell back on the bed. His mental power had been pulled into the illusory space of the 3000 fantasy worlds. What a waste, you can't even use 10% of my mental power. Gui Dengkenyu looked at Gui Dengjianyu's body and whispered a mocking sentence. He thought Gui Dengjianyu would let him use 30% of his mental power to suppress and block the exit of the 3000 fantasy worlds, but it turned out that he didn't even use 10%. This made Kitano Kangetsu seriously doubt whether Kitano Mitsuki was really at the level of Chonin. But it seemed normal if you think about it carefully. At this level of Chonin, there was too much water. Strong Chonin could fight with Ja. Nin, but some weak Chonin could not beat Genin who had just graduated a few months ago. Kitano Mitsuki was probably just a rubbish Chonin. Not long after, Kitano Kangetsu left Kitano Mitsuki's tent. Because the spiritual power of Kizuki has been sunk in the space of the 3000 fantasy worlds and has been completely consumed. It is so easy for the 3000 fantasy worlds to deal with such ordinary Chonin ninjas. One look will kill them, and there is no need to consume anything from Kizuki. After dealing with Kizuki found the tent of Kizuki's father and used the same trick again to trap him in the space of the 3000 fantasy worlds. Is this a JA? Nin level ninja? Sure enough, his mental power and will are much stronger than those of a fake Chonin like Kizuki Hoshomi, but it's not as troublesome as I thought. It just took away 50% of my mental power. And in my current state, using only 50% of my mental power to control my body will indeed be affected, just like having a cold, and the whole person is a lot slower. But the impact is not big. Even if I only use 50% of my mental power to control my body, I can still maintain the comprehensive quality of the elite JA. Nin level. With the help of Manjakaya Sharingan, my strength is actually not affected at all. I have to say that Manjakaya Sharingan is really scary. I was originally only an elite JA. Nin. After I have Manjakaya Sharingan and the enhanced Uchiha clan bloodline physique, my overall strength is undoubtedly cage level. When I fully master this power, my strength will reach Uchiha Itaki and Manjakaya Uchiha Obito's level, into the top ranks of the ninja world. Such a feeling is really intoxicating. With a deep sigh in his heart, Hoseki Zangetsu left directly after Hoseki Jianyu's father's spiritual power was also exhausted. Next, only Kiri was left. I don't know if he escaped, after all, there was a Konoha team chasing him at that time. But with Kiri's insidiousness and cunning, he is probably still alive. Hoseki Zangetsu thought, and went to the area of Ayuro the scout team. Not long after, Hoseki Zangetsu found Kiri. This guy is not dead, but he is also injured, with a circle of bandages wrapped around his body. Obviously, Kiri paid a heavy price to escape from the Konoha team. But being alive is a blessing. But unfortunately, Kiri is not lucky enough. Because Hoseki Zangetsu is luckier than him. After all, Hoseki Zangetsu is even a lucky clover, 4-leaf clover, for Manjakaya. Captain Wu, it looks like you are not well. After controlling Wu with the pupil technique, Hoseki Kangyu kicked Wu awake. I know you are very surprised, and you have many doubts in your heart and many things you want to ask me. But don't worry, I will tell you these things. However, it will be after you die. Hoseki Kangyu lowered his body to speak beside Wu's ear, and then looked at Wu's horrified eyes and directly activated the 3000 illusions. The next day, Kirigakure's ninjas found the bodies of Hoseki Jianyu and the other two. This undoubtedly caused an uproar. Because the three of them were in the camp of Mist Shinobi's troops. As a result, they died quietly. This is terrible. Konoha's ninjas can sneak into the camp of Kirigakure's troops quietly and kill people. This is too outrageous, but when the outrageous becomes a reality, it becomes terrifying. But this is not the most terrible thing. The most terrible thing is that they can't find out the cause of the death of the three people. Because there is no trace of fatal injuries on them. So, if the mysterious Konoha shinobi can deal with these three people like this, can he also deal with others? Euro trademark as terrifying to think about. It. Chapter 18. The Mist Shinobi troops were in uproar because of the death of Kirigakure and the other two, which directly made the Mizukage who was in charge of them furious. As a result, Kirigakure's offensive became fierce. The fighting among the scout troops became fierce. The elite ninjas also entered the boundless forest that was like an abyss. But all this had nothing to do with Kirigakure. After killing Kirigakure and the other two, he set out directly to the Kingdom of Wind, preparing to enter the battlefield between Konoha and Uegakure from the Kingdom of Wind. There, he would have a good meeting with his rival Uchiha Fugaku. A few days passed in a flash. In the rainy country, the sky is covered by dark clouds all year round, and there is no sunshine, which gives everyone who sets foot here for the first time a feeling of depression. This is the Kingdom of Rain, a crying country. Kirigakure looked at the rainy streets outside the window and sighed slightly in his heart. This is the second most prosperous town in the rain country, but there are few people on the street at this time. Even if there are people, they are in a hurry and soon disappear in the streets. As for the reason, it is also very simple. Because the rain country is the battlefield of the war between Konoha and Uegakure. This is ridiculous and sad. It is obviously a conflict between Konoha and Uegakure. No matter what happens in Rain Shinobi village, the country that always remains neutral has to suffer the trampling of war. In addition, the Rain Shinobi village has been in civil war for many years, and there are many rebellious ninjas, which directly leads to the people living in this country often worrying and worried. Worried about being involved in the ninja war and dying at any time. So, this is the sadness of ordinary people. Hoseki Kangyu retracted his gaze. He just sighed slightly and did not have any idea of Euro changing this country. The weak are eaten by the strong, and the fittest survive. This is the law of nature and the law of mankind. Therefore, instead of wasting time and energy sympathizing with the weak, it is better to work hard to improve yourself and become someone who can change the rules and set the rules. This is the right way. It is not easy to kill or control Uchiha Fugaku. He is always followed by ninjas from the Uchiha clan, and there is no chance to attack him. Hoseki Kangyu frowned. On the way here, he had been thinking about how to deal with Uchiha Fugaku, but he still couldn't think of any good way when he arrived in the land of rain. Because Hoseki Kangyu needs a chance to be alone with Uchiha Fugaku. Only in this way can Hoseki Kangyu be sure to control or kill Uchiha Fugaku. But Uchiha Fugaku is the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. Even in the war period, he is always followed by ninjas from the Uchiha clan. Unless, before attacking Uchiha Fugaku, kill Uchiha Fugaku first with the ninjas around him. In this way, Uchiha Fugaku is alone. So Hoseki Kangyu needs an opportunity. If he remembered correctly, in the late stage of the war in the original work, Uchiha Fugaku sent his 4-year-old Uchiha Take to the battlefield. It was a very tragic battle. 100 or 200 ninjas from Konoha and Uegakure were all killed on the battlefield. The rock shinobi who survived by chance also became the soul of Uchiha Take's sword. It was also the most important first lesson in Uchiha Take's life, war. So, that was the best opportunity for Hoseki Zangetsu. The 4-year-old Uchiha Take obviously posed no threat to him and could be easily knocked out or killed. This gave Zangetsu Hoseki a good opportunity to fight Uchiha Fugaku one-on-one. Even because of the existence of Uchiha Take, Zangetsu Hoseki's success rate would be higher. Because he could control Uchiha Take and use him as a hostage. However, although this idea was good, it was not easy to implement. Because of that battle, Zangetsu Hoseki did not know the specific time and place. So, why not just try to sneak into Konoha first and attack Uchiha Fugaku in the Uchiha clan's territory? Zangetsu Hoseki changed his mind. If he could not accurately lock the position of Uchiha Fugaku on the battlefield, he might as well go directly to Uchiha Fugaku's lair and wait for the war to end and Uchiha Fugaku to return to Konoha before attacking. But this is undoubtedly very dangerous. After all, it is Konoha. Once Kizuki attacks Uchiha Fugaku but fails to kill or control him quickly, Kizuki will have to face the joint siege of many elite ninjas in Konoha. At that time, whether he can leave Konoha safely is an unknown. So it is better to attack on the battlefield. If you can get the opportunity for Uchiha Fugaku to take Uchiha Take to experience the war, it will be the best. If there is no such opportunity, you can only create one. For example, invite someone into a trap. Kizuki can hunt Konoha shinobi in a certain battlefield area and reveal the information of Sharingan. In this way, Kizuki does not believe that Uchiha Fugaku, as the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, will not personally investigate the situation. As long as Uchiha Fugaku attacks, Kizuki will have the opportunity to attack Uchiha Fugaku. Either kill Uchiha Fugaku directly, and then disguise as Uchiha Fugaku and replace Uchiha Fugaku. Or control Uchiha Fugaku with illusion, just like Uchiha Obito controls 4th Mizukage Terumi. If you can't disguise perfectly and can't control his mind, then just find a way to beat Uchiha Fugaku into a vegetable, and then support Uchiha Mikoto to preside over the overall situation of Uchiha. This is the plan of Hoseki Kangyu. As for which strategy to adopt in the end, it depends on the specific situation. That is, the reward given by the system after defeating the love rival. What a pity. If I had subordinates like the White Zetsu army, it would be easy to grasp Uchiha Fugaku's whereabouts. Or if I had the perception ability like Senju Tobirama, I could also lock Uchiha Fugaku's position at any time. Sure enough, I'm still far behind. My perception ability is almost zero. I have to find a way to make up for it. Fortunately, it's the middle of the Third Ninja World War, and there are still a few months before the end. During this time, I can see if I can find some useful perception ninjutsu. I can also try my hand with other people, get familiar with my own power, and see if I can get some more interesting ninjutsu or secret techniques. After making up his mind, Hoseki Kangyu began to act. He first bought himself a mask to cover his handsome face. Then, he began to prepare to hunt wandering ninjas. But before hunting these ninjas, you can find the underground black market first. In this way, even if those wandering ninjas don't have any ninjutsu secret techniques worth learning, their bodies can be worth some money. You can make full use of them. Well, it's perfect. Chapter 19. A month passed quickly. A terrifying newcomer appeared in the black market. Wearing a Shinigami mask, he hunted more than 20 black market bounty targets in just 1 month. The weakest of these bounty targets were all JA Nin level. The strongest was the patriarch of a great ninja clan, who had a bloodline limit and was very powerful. It was said that he had fought with the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen of Konoha village and escaped unscathed. But the old guy still died at the hands of the terrifying newcomer. This fierce record shocked the bounty hunters in the black market, and gave the terrifying newcomer a resounding title. Shinigami. This terrifying newcomer called Shinigami is naturally Hoseki Zangetsu. Although I didn't get any particularly strong skills, it's not without gain. At least I copied a lot of ninjutsu of various attributes. After completing another bounty mission, Hoseki Zangetsu, who came out of the black market, said to himself. Sharingan has the ability to copy ninjutsu. This month, Hoseki Zangetsu has gained a lot. More than 20 targets contributed nearly 100 ninjutsu of various attributes to him. But unfortunately, not many of these copied ninjutsu can be used. After all, the chakra attributes of Hoseki Zangetsu now are only water and fire. And the fire attribute was obtained from Uchiha Mikoto. So among these nearly 100 ninjutsu, Hoseki Zangetsu can only use 15 or 16. Although ninjutsu of other attributes can also be used, without the corresponding chakra attribute, the power used will be much smaller, which is really not cost effective. I can only put it aside and use it after I have those chakra attributes in the future. Control type illusions and secrets are indeed not something that every ninja can master. Among the nearly 100 ninjutsu, only 6 illusions were obtained, and they are all garbage, so it is better to glare at Sharingan. Sure enough, it is a completely wrong choice to pin my hopes on wandering ninjas. Thinking of the few illusions he copied, Hojiki Zangetsu was speechless. Those illusions, let alone controlling Uchiha Fugaku who has Sharingan and is good at illusions, are difficult to control even an ordinary JA nin, and are easily cracked. I really want to feel the illusion that Uchiha Obito controls Yagura. If there is that illusion, it will be easy to control Uchiha Fugaku. But that illusion was definitely taught to Uchiha Obito by Uchiha Madara. If you want that illusion, you have to find Uchiha Madara. It's too dangerous and not worth the loss. Uchiha Madara is undoubtedly old. At this point in time, his body has reached the point of exhaustion, which can be easily seen from the original work. But this does not mean that Hojiki Zangetsu can easily control Uchiha Madara. After all, he is a man who has awakened Rinnegan and has mastered many powerful secrets. No one knows what other means he has that are not shown in the original work. There is no need to fight him for an illusion. Anyway, it is not necessary to control Uchiha Fugaku. Turning him into a vegetable is also a good choice. At worst, we can support Uchiha Mikoto to take the position and let her become the leader of the Uchiha clan. After all, Uchiha Mikoto is now a woman who has opened the Mangekaya. Sharingan. With those eyes, who in the Uchiha clan would not obey? Who dares not to obey? I have completely mastered the Mangekaya. Sharingan. Next, I should go to the battlefield and set a trap to lure you into the trap. Kizuki walked and thought, and soon came to a secluded and deserted place. He stopped and raised his voice slightly. You have followed me for so long, it's time to show up. As Kizuki's voice fell, 3 people walked out of the forest. Kizuki turned around and looked over, his face unchanged, but he was surprised in his heart. Because he knew these 3 people. The boy with orange hair and a sunny face, the boy with red hair covering his eyes, and the beautiful girl with light blue and purple hair. Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan. Ha ha ha, I've been discovered. As expected of a bounty hunter called Shinigami, he's ridiculously strong. Yahiko laughed a few times and then spoke in an amazed tone. So, what do you want to talk to me about? Hojiki Zangetsu spoke, although he had already guessed the purpose of the 3 people. Sure enough, Yahiko's face became serious. We want to invite you to join the Akatsuki organization. I refuse. Hojiki Zangetsu refused without thinking and turned to leave. Join the Akatsuki organization? He had no interest at all. Moreover, in Nagato's eyes, it was Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan. These 3 people have been under the surveillance of Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu, and Hojiki Zangetsu didn't want to enter the field of vision of Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu so quickly. Especially Black Zetsu. Although he seems to have no fighting power, who dares to say that Black Zetsu is weak when he can make 6 paths? Madara unable to move with the Black Tiger Heart? No one knows what other powerful means Black Zetsu has hidden. Moreover, Black Zetsu is not only dangerous in ability, but also has high IQ and EQ. Geniuses like Indra were easily bewitched by him, and heroes like Uchiha Madara were easily played around by him. Although Kizuki knew the origin and some secrets of Black Zetsu, Kizuki had no interest in fighting with Black Zetsu. Oh, you are too decisive in rejecting me. You can first listen to what kind of organization Akatsuki is. Maybe after listening, you will be interested in Akatsuki. Seeing Kizuki turn around and leave, Yahiko hurriedly spoke to keep him. Akatsuki is developing better and better, and the organization is growing, but there is a very urgent problem that needs to be solved urgently. Akatsuki does not have top-level strong men. As the leader of Akatsuki, his strength is only at the level of JA nin. Konan is about the same as him, and also has this strength. Nagato is stronger, with the strength of elite JA nin, or even stronger. But at this time, Hansa of the Salamander, the ninjas of the 3 great powers of wind, fire, and earth, and the Akatsuki organization were too weak. So during this period, Yahiko has been looking for strong ninjas, hoping to be absorbed into the Akatsuki organization. And the newcomer of the underground black market, Hojiki Zangetsu, is one of Yahiko's targets. Oh, tell me about it. Hojiki Zangetsu, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. He glanced at the 3 people and stayed on Konan's face for a second longer. Because just now, when Hojiki Zangetsu was about to run away, he heard a voice from the system. Ding! Update of the strategy character in the system panel. The strategy character card display has changed. The 6th card that was previously marked with a question mark now shows Konan's appearance. At the same time, the 7th card also appeared. But the 7th card is the same as the 6th card before, with only a question mark. So, Konan became Hojiki Zangetsu's new strategy. Target. Chapter 20. Seeing that Kizuki stopped, Yahiko's eyes lit up. Then, he began to enthusiastically tell Kizuki about the Akatsuki organization. Talking about the Akatsuki organization's philosophy, goals, activities, etc. In the process, he also briefly introduced the 3 of them. It can be seen that Yahiko really wants to pull Kizuki into the Akatsuki organization. It sounds good. After Yahiko finished speaking, Kizuki nodded. This made Yahiko even more excited. How about it? Can't you wait to bring the light of dawn to this country and this world with us, so that the world will become peaceful and beautiful, and there will be no more war in this world? This is difficult. Kizuki looked at Yahiko, looking at the boy in front of him with clear but firm eyes and full of faith. He is not old, only 15 years old, but he has become a very good leader. Unfortunately, he is still too young. His thoughts are too naive, his strength is weak, he is impulsive, and he is not calm enough. So this boy's life will always stay at the age of 15. That is this year. Hojiki Zangetsu knew that it would not be long before Yahiko would die in the conspiracy of Shimura Danza and Hanza of the Salamander. In order to save Konan, she took the initiative to die under Nagato's kunao. What a sad future. Although I have been persuaded by you, I can't agree to you now, because I have something very important to do that can only be done by me alone. Hojiki Zangetsu spoke, his tone was very solemn and heavy. Of course, he just said this on purpose. When I finish that thing, I will take the initiative to find you and pursue a beautiful world with you. If I can come back alive, we can help you. Yahiko subconsciously spoke when he saw Hojiki Zangetsu said this. In his heart, Hojiki Zangetsu was already a member of the Akatsuki organization. No, no one can help me with this matter. Only I can do it myself. Don't worry, I will try my best to come back alive to find you, maybe in a month, maybe in a few months, maybe in a year. One day, I will definitely come back to find you. When the time comes, just don't reject me. Hojiki Zangetsu spoke up. He didn't plan to join the Akatsuki organization now. Joining now would be of no benefit to Hojiki Zangetsu. Hojiki Zangetsu planned to come to Nagato and Konan after Yahiko died. By then, the old BD Uchiha Madara would also be dead, and the mastermind behind the Akatsuki organization would become Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu. Hojiki Zangetsu knew almost all the information about Uchiha Obito and was not afraid of Uchiha Obito at all. That's okay. I hope you can complete your task. Don't worry, the door of Akatsuki will always be open to you. Because, you are already a member of Akatsuki, right for our common goal and dream. Seeing that Kizuki was firm in his tone, Yahiko could only give up persuading him. He smiled at Kizuki and directly determined that Kizuki was already a member of Akatsuki. Such a decision was undoubtedly hasty. Konan and Nagato, who made way, looked at Yahiko. But the two of them didn't say anything after all. Although Yahiko was younger than the two of them, in their hearts, Yahiko was the captain of their trio. Moreover, Yahiko was also the leader of Akatsuki, and he had the right to decide whether a member joined. Hearing this, Kizuki acted as if he was touched. He stood there for several seconds without saying anything, just looking at Yahiko seriously. I haven't agreed to join the Akatsuki organization yet. At least I will wait until I come back alive. Well, let's stop here today, I have to leave first. I hope I can see you again in the future. Don't die. By the way, my name is Kizuki. After saying this, Kizuki looked at the three people deeply, and left with a body flicker technique. Save Yahiko. How is it possible? After saving Yahiko, how can he attack Konan? Yahiko can only die, and must die. After Kizuki left, the smile on Yahiko's face was put away. Yahiko, you are too impulsive. We don't know what kind of person he is at all, and you agree to let him join the organization. Konan said to Yahiko, her tone was helpless. Nagato didn't say anything. For him, it didn't matter what kind of person Kizuki was. Ha ha ha, it doesn't matter, Konan, I believe him. Yahiko smiled and said, he was very confident in himself, confident that he would not make a mistake. But this is also the reason why Yahiko died young. He misjudged Hanza of the Salamander. It's up to you. Konan was helpless. She also knew what kind of character Yahiko was. She knew that it was useless to persuade him. Kizuki is very strong. We need his strength. He can make Hanza of the Salamander really look at us and make Akatsuki grow faster. Seeing Konan's helpless look, Yahiko scratched his head and spoke seriously. Akatsuki really needs a person who can make others look at Akatsuki. Otherwise, many activities cannot be carried out, and many people who are willing to join Akatsuki will hesitate. It is precisely because of this urgent need to be solved that Yahiko found the bounty hunter Kizuki. Of course, one of the important reasons is that Yahiko sent people to investigate. The people killed by Kizuki in the past month were not good people. The death of every bounty target is deserved. Therefore, Yahiko believes that Kizuki is essentially a kind person and a person with light in his heart. This is a wonderful misunderstanding. When accepting the bounty mission, Kitsune Kangyu didn't pay attention to whether the target was good or bad, but their ability. The reason why he killed all the bad guys is because in this world, good people with some strength and no stain are rare. It can even be said that they are almost extinct. Therefore, it is not surprising that all the people killed by Kitsune Kangyu are bad guys. Of course, this wonderful misunderstanding may also have something to do with Kitsune Kangyu's luck. He is a person who has a lucky clover shape in Mangekaya. He is a person who can randomly get Uchiha Mikoto Mangekaya, Sharingan and Uchiha bloodline constitution. Okay, let's go back. I hope Kitsune can safely complete the things he said must be completed and report to the organization as soon as possible. After Yahiko finished speaking, the three left quickly. The Akatsuki organization still has a lot of things to deal with, and next, there are still a few tough battles to fight. However, as long as they fight these tough battles, Hanza of the Salamander should be able to face them squarely, right? Thinking of this, Yahiko couldn't help but feel excited. Chapter 21. After separating from Konan and the other two, Kizuna set off towards the battlefield between Konoha and Uegakure. In a month, he had mastered his eyes. Next, he just needed to find the right opportunity. At this time, the war between Uegakure and Konoha was in full swing, especially when Kirigakure joined the war and raided Konoha, which made Iwagakure see the hope of victory in the war. It also allowed the 3rd Tsuchikage, Oniki, and other rock shinobi high-level officials to increase their chips and continue to send troops to the battlefield. At this time, Konoha was fighting on 3 fronts with Cloud Shinobi Village, Iwagakure, and Kirigakure. Therefore, facing Iwagakure who was exerting force again, Konoha was completely at a disadvantage. The front line was retreating step by step, and it could only defend based on several important strongholds. But defending is not a solution after all. If you defend for a long time, you will lose. Defending blindly means losing the initiative. In the case of 3-front fighting, no matter how rich Konoha's logistical reserves are, they will be exhausted sooner or later. So under such a big disadvantage, Konoha can only rely on surprise moves to win. In the ninja world, powerful ninjas can often create miracles. Namikaze Minato is the surprise move that Konoha used to defeat Iwagakure, and the miracle of the Third Ninja World War. He will use the Flying Thunder God technique to dominate the battlefield of Iwagakure. He can be said to kill gods and Buddhas. He almost single-handedly made Iwagakure make the helpless choice of peace talks. Among them, the most famous in the original work is that Namikaze Minato quickly killed 50 Iwagakure ninjas in the Battle of the God Incomparable Bridge. It can be said that the Third Ninja World War was almost a show of Namikaze Minato alone. The name of the Yellow Flash is awe-inspiring. Thinking of Namikaze Minato's experience, Hojiki sighed in his heart. Young Dame is worthy of the name of legend, and can be called the first show of Hokage. Fortunately, his eye technique is a control eye technique like the 3000 fantasy worlds, otherwise it would be difficult to deal with Namikaze Minato in the future. Since he got the blood of the Uchiha clan and strengthened his physique, Hoshomi Kangyu has been mentally prepared to fight Namikaze Minato. Because he will not let Uzumaki go. And given the relationship between Uzumaki and Namikaze Minato, if Namikaze Minato is not dealt with, there is no possibility of conquering Uzumaki. Therefore, for Hoshomi Kangyu, Namikaze Minato must die. However, Namikaze Minato is obviously not as important as Uchiha Fugaku. Hoshomi Kangyu still has to deal with Uchiha Fugaku, otherwise it will affect his subsequent plans. After entering the war zone, Hoshomi Kangyu prepared to explore the situation of Uchiha Fugaku first. He went straight to the area where Konoha was currently stationed and easily found a small force of more than 100 ninjas. At night, the moon and stars in the sky were blocked by a layer of dark clouds, making the already dark world even darker. Hojiki Zangetsu wore a black hooded robe, and under the big hood was a fox mask he bought casually. The night is just right, suitable for killing people. Looking at the Konoha troop camp not far away, Hojiki Zangetsu muttered to himself, and then walked over step by step. Who is it? 100 meters away from the sentry post, Hojiki Zangetsu was discovered by the Konoha shinobi patrolling the camp. Those Konoha shinobi looked at him vigilantly and made a defensive move. They did not attack Hojiki Zangetsu immediately, because Hojiki Zangetsu was alone, and there was no cover at all, just walking towards them, not like an Iwagakure ninja. Moreover, Hojiki Zangetsu's outfit looked more like a member of Konoha's Anbu. Hojiki Zangetsu ignored the words of these ninjas and just kept walking forward. This caused several Konoha shinobi to draw their weapons, and some even made hand seals. Stop and don't move. If you move again, I'll kill you. One of the ninjas spoke grimly. Now is the wartime. They were very restrained not to attack immediately. But if the other party still doesn't know how to appreciate and cooperate, don't blame them for being ruthless. Hearing this, Hojiki Kangyu stopped, and the corners of his mouth under the mask raised, revealing a bloodthirsty and excited smile. Then, he raised his hands and lifted his hat back in the murderous eyes of those Konoha shinobi. At the same time, the exposed eyes also turned into the 3 Tomo Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. It was nighttime, but in the weak firelight, some ninjas still saw Hojiki Kangyu's eyes. Uchiha, aren't you supposed to be in the southern area? Why are you here? What are you doing here? He spoke in confusion, and his heart was a little relaxed. I'm here, to kill people. After Zangetsu Hojiki's voice fell, he disappeared like a ghost, and the next moment he was in front of the Konoha shinobi who had just asked the question, and the kunao in his hand pierced into his lower abdomen. This was not the ability of teleportation, nor even the body flicker technique, but Zangetsu Hojiki's activation speed was too fast, so fast that the Konoha ninjas in front of him could not react. Oki. Zangetsu Hojiki's sudden attack made the surrounding Konoha shinobi exclaim. Seeing Oki falling down after Zangetsu Hojiki pulled out his kunao, a group of people suddenly became angry and surrounded Zangetsu Hojiki. However, how could they be Zangetsu Hojiki's opponents? They were just a group of Chonin. The only special Nin was killed instantly by Zangetsu Hojiki just now. The rest of them were just like ants in front of Zangetsu Hojiki. Puff puff puff. In a few moves, Hojiki Zangetsu easily killed the ninja who was attacking him at close range, and the ninja who was preparing to use ninjutsu at a distance from him was horrified and terrified. Fire style, a great fireball technique. One of the ninjas quickly formed a seal, and a fireball spurted out of his mouth, whistling towards Hojiki Zangetsu. Seeing this, Hojiki Zangetsu showed a trace of disdain in his eyes. He did not dodge or evade, and formed a seal at a speed that only the afterimage could be seen. Fire style, a great fireball technique. A bigger, hotter, and stronger fireball appeared, and almost instantly engulfed the great fireball in front of Hojiki Zangetsu, and went towards the ninja behind the great fireball. Ah! The scorching great fireball engulfed the ninja, and the terrible high temperature made him scream miserably, and the whole person screamed and rolled on the ground. Playing fireballs with Uchiha, it's just courting death. Hojiki Zangetsu mocked in his heart. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The sound of the enemy attack resounded through the night sky, and the bright flames attracted attention. The camp of the Konoha small army suddenly came alive, and hundreds of ninjas walked out of the tents, holding weapons and sprinting towards the direction of the fire. There were two black figures fighting there. Next to the burning ninja, Kizuna Zangetsu broke the neck of another ninja in his hand, took the sword in the corpse's hand, and rushed towards the more than 100 ninjas. The night was just right, suitable for killing. Chapter 22. The night is thick. Puff puff puff. Hojiki Zangetsu danced in the crowd, his blood-red eyes full of bloodthirstiness and calmness. The smile on his face under the mask had disappeared, and his expression became extremely indifferent. He waved the sword in his hand, and the blade kept cutting the bodies of the Konoha shinobi around him. Blood splashed from their bodies, some fell on Hojiki Zangetsu's clothes, but more fell on the ground, dyeing the earth red. He was too strong. The dynamic perspective brought by Sharingan made the movements of the Konoha shinobi around him slow down. The enhanced Uchiha bloodline physique made Hojiki Zangetsu's motor nerves become abnormally developed. Whether it was strength, speed, reaction speed, almost every attribute reached a height that ordinary people could not reach. In this small unit where most of them were only Chunin level, with only 5 or 6 special JA. Nin and 1 JA. Nin, Hojiki Zangetsu was like a tiger among sheep, and could be slaughtered at will. Here, almost no one can stand up to Zangetsu Kizuki. He is unstoppable and unrivaled. Damn it, is the Uchiha clan going to rebel against Konoha? A ninja trembled and spoke. He was a special JA. Nin who was good at earth-style ninjutsu, but at this time Zangetsu Kizuki was fighting with other Konoha shinobi, so he had no chance to release ninjutsu at all, and could only watch his companions and subordinates being slaughtered. Captain, what should we do? This guy is so strong. The subordinates around him were trembling, and their eyes were full of fear. He held a katana but did not dare to rush forward at all, because the guy in a black robe and a fox mask was too scary. In just a few minutes, there were already piles of corpses around him. He was just an ordinary Chunin. If he rushed forward, he would definitely become one of the many corpses. Because even their captain, Senior Noda, who had the strength of a JA. Nin, died under that guy's knife. Retreat, retreat. Seeing that Zangetsu Kizuki was no match for him, the special JA. Nin decisively ordered to give up fighting Zangetsu Kizuki. No, this cannot be described as a fight, it is simply a massacre. They are the ones being massacred. Following the special JA. Nin's order, the Konoha shinobi, whose blood and anger were covered by fear, began to flee in all directions, desperate to stay away from Zangetsu Kizuki. Puff. After killing another Konoha shinobi around him, Zangetsu Kizuki did not pursue the Konoha shinobi who fled into the darkness. His goal has been achieved. I believe that it will not be long before the information that an Uchiha ninja defected from Konoha and killed ninjas from the same village will be passed on to the commanders and elite ninjas of the Uegakure front. Similarly, it will also be passed on to the ears of Uchiha Fugaku. By the way, that old guy Shimura Danza is in the land of rain, right with Shimura Danza. Here, Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan, will probably have to come to him in person. After all, this is a traitor of the Uchiha clan, a powerful traitor of the Uchiha clan with the 3 Tomo Sharingan. If Uchiha Fugaku doesn't take action to deal with this kind of traitor, who will Hojiki Zangetsu believes that it won't be long before Uchiha Fugaku will take the initiative to come. However, he certainly can't come alone. He will definitely bring a few Uchiha clan subordinates with him. Thinking about the next plan, Hojiki threw the already bent sword away and disappeared into the darkness. That night, Konoha camp. The tents were brightly lit in the middle of the night, and several ninjas were sitting in them. Uchiha Fugaku, I think I need an explanation. Shimura Danza looked at Uchiha Fugaku coldly and said aggressively, why would a ninja from the Uchiha clan defect a what exactly does the Uchiha clan want to do? Faced with Shimura Danza's questioning, Uchiha Fugaku's face did not change, but even if he had no expression on his face, he looked fierce. A total of 326 members of the Uchiha clan followed the troops into the battlefield. As of today, 62 people have died, 89 people have been injured, and 4 people are missing. The remaining 171 people are all in the camp. Does Lord Danzo need to review them? Uchiha Fugaku spoke, his tone was calm and cold, and his eyes were looking directly at Shimura Danza. By the way, the 4 missing Uchiha clan members, 3 of them are Chunin and 1 is a special JA. Nin. With their strength, if they can defeat Shimura Noda's troops, then I am curious about how Shimura Noda got the title of JA. Nin. Uchiha Fugaku is now young and vigorous, in his prime, and has killed countless people on the battlefield. He is dubbed the Evil Eye. Facing Shimura Danza, who has been targeting the Uchiha clan openly and secretly, he has no face to give. Shimura Danza was furious when he heard this, and his face became even colder. He said, "Humph, those people, you said they were dead, so they were dead. Who knows who is still alive, captured by Uegakure, and betrayed Konoha. Danzo-sama, you are joking. Since I have separated the number of deaths from the missing ninjutsu, it is naturally because of the dead Uchiha clan members, and their bodies have been found." Uchiha Fugaku continued to speak calmly, leaving Shimura Danza speechless. To be honest, he didn't believe that this was done by Konoha's Uchiha clan members. Because he was able to kill a small Konoha unit with JA. Nin by himself, such strength was at least at the level of elite JA. Nin. And how could the Uchiha clan have a ninja at the level of elite JA? Nin without intelligence, let alone elite JA. Nin, he collected intelligence on every JA. Nin who opened the 3 Tomo Sharingan. Could it be a disguise of a ninja from another ninja village? Although from the description of the ninjas who escaped back, it was a ninja with 3 Tomo Sharingan, but seeing is not necessarily believing, maybe it is a fake Sharingan. A young voice spoke, attracting everyone's attention. It was a handsome and sunny blonde young man, he was not very old, he looked only about 24 or 25 years old. But none of the ninjas present dared to underestimate him, because the young man in front of him was named Namikaze Minato, a disciple of Jiraiya, the grandson of the 3rd generation, and one of the most powerful ninjas in Konoha, known as the Yellow Flash. Minato is right, maybe that is not a member of the Uchiha clan at all. It is also very simple to know who it is, just go and see it yourself. Another voice sounded, this time it was a gloomy and hoarse voice, from a man who looked equally gloomy. He had long black hair, golden vertical pupils, purple eyeshadow extending to the wings of his nose, pale skin and blue jade-shaped earrings. The whole person's appearance gives people a sinister feeling. It is one of the Sunin, Orochimaru. Chapter 23. Orochimaru spoke up, agreeing with Namikaze Minato's opinion. He has not defected yet, and is still one of Konoha's famous Sunin, a disciple of the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and a strong contender for the 4th Hokage. Even in the eyes of many people, the 4th Hokage is already in Orochimaru's pocket. Because whether it is reputation or strength, Orochimaru is the most suitable person to become the 4th Hokage. Even Orochimaru himself probably thinks so. So in Orochimaru's heart, Namikaze Minato will be his capable subordinate in the future. It is natural to support Namikaze Minato's opinion. But how could Orochimaru have thought that in Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart, Namikaze Minato is the best candidate for the 4th Hokage? Go and verify it yourself that person's strength is at least at the level of elite JA. Nin. An elite ninja spoke with a solemn face. Being able to kill a JA. Nin is not rare, everyone present can do it. But being able to kill a JA. Nin under the siege of hundreds of ninjas and make the other ninjas flee, the number of people present who can do it is reduced by half. At least he can't do it. So he looked at those who can do it. Shimura Danza. Uchiha Fugaku, Orochimaru, Namikaze Minato. Each of these people is an elite JA. Nin in the village. But this does not mean that their strength is only elite JA. Nin, each of them is strong enough to support the title of Kage. The next Hokage of Konoha will most likely come from these people. I'll go. Although I'm not sure if that person is really a member of the Uchiha clan, since he said he has Sharingan, the Uchiha clan can no longer stay out of it. Uchiha Fugaku took the initiative to speak, and he must go for this matter. Because, the reputation of the Uchiha clan cannot be tarnished. Anyone who dares to slander the Uchiha clan will be punished. However, what Uchiha Fugaku didn't know was that this mission, which he thought was very simple, would completely change his fate. It would also completely change the fate of the Uchiha clan. The dark night has not yet passed. In the forest, on a big tree at the edge of the Konoha camp that was breached by Hojiki Zangetsu. Hojiki Zangetsu is already waiting. He hid in the dark, waiting for the arrival of the Konoha shinobi. If nothing unexpected happens, there will definitely be a Konoha shinobi coming today. Hojiki Zangetsu didn't know if it would be Uchiha Fugaku, but it didn't matter. If not, just kill him. Believe that Uchiha Fugaku will always come. Captain, this is it. A voice came from a distance and reached Hojiki Zangetsu's ears. He looked up and saw 4 people wearing Konoha JA. Nin vests jumping from afar and landing in the camp. The two sides were not close to each other, so that Hojiki Zangetsu could not see their specific appearance. However, Hojiki Zangetsu had a hunch that among those people, there must be Uchiha Fugaku. After all, the person who could act with 3 JA. Nin could not be of low status. 4 people. After a little thought, Hojiki Zangetsu's body disappeared from the spot and quickly sneaked in the direction of the 4 people. There is no trace of ninjutsu. Just as those people said, the opponent was fighting in close combat all the time. It can be seen that his close combat ability is very strong. It's no wonder that those people said that guy has Sharingan. Uchiha Yashiro observed and reported to Uchiha Fugaku. Hearing this, Uchiha Fugaku nodded. Looking at the corpses lying around, his face did not change. This is a battlefield, and the scene of death is too common. This is nothing, and it is not worth mentioning compared with the large-scale battles he has experienced before. Humph, how could this be done by a member of our Uchiha clan? It must be a conspiracy of Uegakure, trying to frame us Uchiha. Another person spoke with some dissatisfaction. His name is Uchiha Kinjian, one of Uchiha Fugaku's guards. It doesn't seem like it. After all, such a conspiracy is too simple and will be seen through at a glance. Moreover, since the other party is very likely to be an elite JA. Nin, then a ninja with such combat power will be more useful in other tasks. Uchiha Yashiro denied Uchiha Kinjian's idea. He didn't think that Uegakure would use such a stupid frame-up. Then why did they do this? Uchiha Kinjian didn't get angry because his idea was denied, but asked humbly. This is also what I can't figure out. I can't figure out the other party's motive for doing this, except for one possibility. Uchiha Yashiro said here, his tone hesitated, and couldn't help looking at Uchiha Fugaku. It is indeed possible that it is a member of the tribe who inherited that person's will. Uchiha Fugaku said. This was the most likely reason he could think of. That person Uchiha Kinjin was even more confused. He didn't understand what Uchiha Yashiro and the tribe leader Uchiha Fugaku were talking about. Seeing that Uchiha Kinjin and Uchiha Linhuo, who had been silent, were both confused, Uchiha Fugaku said that person refers to the former leader of the Uchiha tribe, Uchiha Madara. When he died, you were not born yet, so you didn't know him. And his name was also regarded as a taboo by the tribe members who knew him, and no one wanted to talk about it. Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Kinjin and Uchiha Linhuo were even more confused after hearing this. They had heard this name, but they were not familiar with it at all. They didn't know anything about Uchiha Madara at all, and didn't understand why Uchiha Madara became a taboo for the Uchiha clan. If it was a clan member who inherited his will who did this, the explanation would be completely reasonable. After all, not everyone stayed in Konoha like Uchiha Setsuna to look for opportunities and wanted to overthrow the regime. Some people also defected and went out and their whereabouts were unknown. They must have planned to find an opportunity to take revenge on Konoha. Uchiha Yashiro spoke, and he felt that this should be the truth. Anyway, let's find that person first. No matter how you guess, it's better to find that guy directly. Uchiha Fugaku finished speaking and began to act, looking for traces left by Hoshiki Zangetsu. However, he did not hold out much hope. Uchiha Fugaku did not think that the person was still here, and must have left, looking for an opportunity to kill Konoha's ninjas again, so as to achieve the purpose of revenge on Konoha. But this time, Uchiha Fugaku was wrong. Their analysis was completely wrong. Hoshiki Zangetsu attacked Konoha shinobi, and his purpose was not to take revenge on Konoha at all. He had only one purpose, to lure Uchiha Fugaku over. And now, Hoshiki Zangetsu's purpose has been achieved. Then stay, it's hunting time. Chapter 24. The camp here is not big. After all, there were only more than 100 people stationed there before. It only takes a few minutes for Uchiha Fugaku and the other two to search separately. So what Gui Denkenyu needs to do is to reduce the number of the 4 people as much as possible in these few minutes. His first target is Uchiha Kinjin. This is a young JA. Nin of the Uchiha clan. He is only in his 20s and can be regarded as a little genius. There is still the possibility of further growth in the future. This is also the reason why Uchiha Fugaku will let him become his guard. On the one hand, he wants to cultivate Uchiha Kinjin into his confidant, and on the other hand, it is also to protect Uchiha Kinjin, a genius who has not yet fully grown up. Unfortunately, he has become Gui Denkenyu's target now. This undoubtedly destined this little genius of the Uchiha clan to be a little genius all his life, and he cannot become a strong man at the level of elite JA. Nin. Creak. A subtle sound came from behind the dark tent, which made Uchiha Kinjin alert instantly. He took an offensive posture, with his eyes already open to the Sharingan. There were 3 black Megatema in his scarlet eyes, a pair of 3 Magatama Sharingan. After opening the Sharingan, the night became brighter in Uchiha Kinjin's eyes, allowing him to see the dark clearly. Suddenly, a figure appeared. Uchiha Kinjin saw the scarlet eyes that were as scarlet as his at a glance, which was definitely Sharingan. But unlike the 3 Megatema in his eyes, the other party's eyes were not Megatema, but a 4-leaf clover pattern. Uchiha Kinjin did not hesitate at all and shouted loudly here. As he said that, the kunao in his hand also shot out, shooting at the middle-aged man in his 40s opposite. After shooting the kunao, Uchiha Kinjin did not approach the other party, but quickly retreated. This is a guy who can kill a JA. Nin among hundreds of ninjas. He is very strong, at least at the level of elite JA. Nin. He is no match for him, so he can only avoid his edge and deal with him together with the clan leader. And the fact proved that Uchiha Kinjin's choice was completely correct. After she exclaimed, the other 3 quickly gathered together. The 4 of them fought and easily captured this Uchiha clan's rebel ninja. In this battle, one of his ninjutsu played a very critical role and was praised by the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku. Then the 4 of them went back and he was credited with a merit. Then the war continued. He had an outstanding performance on the battlefield and his strength grew. After the war, he was successfully promoted to elite JA. Nin by the village. After becoming an elite JA. Nin, he was more valued by the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku and soon became the captain of the guard team. At the same time, the girl he liked also confessed to him, and the 2 got married soon. Later, it was a very happy daily life. The night seemed even darker. Hoshiki Kangyu came to Uchiha Kinjin who was about to fall, and after carefully observing his appearance, he began to make hand seals. Transformation technique. In a blink of an eye, Hoshiki Kangyu turned into Uchiha Kinjin. Uchiha is just like this. I thought that as a JA. Nin of the Uchiha clan, you could let me use half of your mental power. I overestimated you. With a sarcastic tone in his heart, Hoshiki Kangyu held Uchiha Kinjin's hand and exerted force directly. In an instant, Uchiha Kinjin's neck was strangled and lost its breath. The 3000 fantasy realms are really powerful. Fortunately, Mikoto's attack speed is locked by AI Wahui, otherwise, I can only try my best to kill her. After sighing in his heart, Hoshiki Kangyu began to move and approached the area on the side. He needed to hurry up and kill the 3 Uchiha Fugaku before they joined up. Soon, Kitano Kangyu noticed the movement. He approached quickly who? A shout sounded, and Kitano Kangyu stopped. He saw a middle-aged Uchiha in his 30s, Uchiha 8th generation, looking at him with a vigilant face. It's me. Kitano Kangyu spoke, and as soon as the voice fell, he clearly saw the pupil of the other party's eyes was weak. There is no doubt that Kitano Kangyu was discovered. He had obviously used the transformation technique to transform into the appearance of Uchiha Kinjin, and in such a dark environment, he was still discovered. It seems that he is a very experienced guy who knows this Uchiha very well. After instantly using the 3000 fantasy realms to forcibly pull the opponent's mental power into the illusionary space of the 3000 fantasy realms, Kitano Kangyu sighed in his heart. Unfortunately, no matter how good the insight is, it is meaningless under these eyes. The 3000 illusions were too strong. When facing anyone whose mental power was not stronger than his, as long as the other party dared to look into his eyes, he could instantly pull the other party's mental power into his 3000 illusions space, making the other party unable to move. His body moved quickly, and before Uchiha Yashiro fell, Kitano Kangyu came to Uchiha Yashiro and caught his body. Sure enough, there are still capable people in the Uchiha clan. This guy is much more alert and has seen through the first illusion. The mental power used to suppress and block the entrance and exit of the 3000 illusions looked at Uchiha Yashiro who had broken through the first illusion, and Kitano Kangyu praised. But unfortunately, the illusions in the 3000 illusions are endless. You who thought you had broken through the illusion, but fell into the illusion derived from breaking the illusion, can you see through it again? Kitano Kangyu thought, but did not intend to observe whether Uchiha Yashiro could see through the 3000 illusions. He exerted force in his hand, and Uchiha Yashiro's throat was already strangled, with only a slight cracking sound appearing and disappearing in the dark night. The second one. After gently putting down Uchiha Yashiro's body, Hoseki Kangyu attacked again, looking for the next prey. He was lucky that the third person he met was still not Uchiha Fugaku, but Uchiha Linhuo, the last guard brought by Uchiha Fugaku. This was a taciturn guy, but he was also a little genius. He opened the 3-tomo Sharingan at the age of 19. At the age of 21, he had been a J.A. nin for 3 years. However, his experience was obviously not as rich as Uchiha Ye, and he did not immediately realize that the Uchiha Kinjin that appeared was fake. Of course, even if Uchiha Linhuo noticed it, it would be useless. In front of Hoseki Kangyu's Mangekyou Sharingan, he had no possibility of resistance. Just seeing the eyes with the 4-leaf clover pattern, Uchiha Linhuo stepped into the back road of Uchiha Kinjin and Uchiha Ye. The third one. When he cut Uchiha Linhuo's throat, Kitano Kangyu spoke, and threw Uchiha Linhuo's body down without caring about making any noise. Because, it was no longer necessary. Linhuo. An angry voice came from the side. Uchiha Fugaku, here it comes. Chapter 25. Linhuo. Looking at the Uchiha Linhuo still on the ground, Uchiha Fugaku widened his eyes and roared. The 3 megatama in his eyes also spun rapidly, forming a beautiful pattern. This is Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyou Sharingan, but it was not activated at this time because of the stimulation of Uchiha Linhuo's death. Not long ago, his eyes had already evolved into Mangekyou. But Uchiha Fugaku has never been exposed. Because these eyes are of great importance, if the village knows that he has awakened Mangekyou Sharingan, the situation of the Uchiha clan will probably be even worse. But now, seeing Uchiha Linhuo die in front of him, Uchiha Fugaku is angry and no longer hides. He wants the man in front of him to die. Kitsune Kangyu also holds this idea. He turned his head and looked at Uchiha Fugaku. In an instant, Uchiha Fugaku's face changed drastically. He saw a pair of Mangekyou Sharingan. This made Uchiha Fugaku subconsciously make a decision. And at the moment when he made up his mind, Hoshiki Zangetsu activated his eye technique. It seems that you recognize these eyes. The young man on the opposite side spoke. That was the face of Uchiha Kinjin, but Uchiha Fugaku knew very well that he was not Uchiha Kinjin. What a surprise. I didn't expect that a fallen person who was willing to become a hawk of Konoha could awaken these great eyes. Or did you kill your relatives and friends? The young man spoke, which shocked Uchiha Fugaku, and at the same time he was completely convinced that the other party was the old party of Uchiha Madara who defected from the Uchiha clan. Because he had the Mangekyou Sharingan of the Uchiha clan, because he told the secret of the Mangekyou Sharingan of the Uchiha clan. Fortunately, just now. You deserve to die. Even if you have the blood of the Uchiha clan, I will kill you today. Uchiha Fugaku spoke with a cold tone and undisguised murderous intent. Kill me? Ridiculous. Although I am surprised that you can awaken these eyes, I must have had these eyes earlier than you. The young man opposite said, his appearance has changed, from the appearance of Uchiha Kinjin to that of a handsome middle-aged man. It was a very charming face, but it was full of madness at this time, with a terrible fanaticism on his face. I finally waited for this opportunity. Konoha will definitely lose this war. I will assist Cloud Shinobi village Uegakure Kirigakure and completely destroy Konoha. Ha 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 ha, the rotten village should have been turned into nothingness in the flames long ago. The middle-aged man laughed wildly, with madness, excitement, fanaticism and pride on his face. This is not something a loser like you can decide. You want to destroy Konoha just relying on your poor illusion wishful thinking. After Uchiha Fugaku finished speaking, everything in front of him was like a broken mirror. In an instant, the picture in his eyes changed. Very good, this is the power of Mangekyou Sharingan. You didn't disappoint me. However, what if you broke my illusion? Do you think my means are only this? After breaking the illusion, Uchiha Fugaku saw the middle-aged man's face showing a surprised expression, but it was fleeting. He still looked like he had won, as if there were some terrible means that he had not used. No, not as if. Each pair of Mangekaya Sharingan has a companion eye technique, and each eye technique of Mangekaya Sharingan is a very terrible skill. The other party is so confident, so the eye technique brought by his awakening Mangekaya Sharingan must be very strong, and it should be an illusion. Uchiha Fugaku analyzed, and said, really, then let me see your power. He said, but before the other party could make a move, he used his Mangekaya Sharingan. What is this, damn it? As a black flame ignited on the opponent's body, blood flowed from Uchiha Fugaku's left eye. Amaterasu. This is his Mangekaya Sharingan, which is enough to burn everything and will never be extinguished before the target is completely burned. Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekaya Sharingan ability is not shown in the anime. This book sets his left eye Mangekaya Sharingan as Amaterasu, accompanied by screams. The middle-aged man was burned in the indestructible Amaterasu. The double pain from his body and soul made him fall to the ground and roll. But all these struggles were in vain. Amaterasu is an indestructible flame. Before the man in front of him is burned to death, no external force can extinguish Amaterasu. Amaterasu succeeded, but Uchiha Fugaku was not careless and was still alert. After all, the opponent is Uchiha with Mangekaya Sharingan. The ability of these eyes is too rich and strong. No one knows whether the opponent will suddenly revive. But no accident happened. The middle-aged man was burned alive by Amaterasu. This made Uchiha Fugaku frown. He looked around, and then suddenly shocked. Then he bit his tongue. Blood flowed out of his mouth. The world in front of Uchiha Fugaku collapsed, and in a blink of an eye, time seemed to flow backwards, and he returned to the moment when he saw the middle-aged Uchiha. But this was not the reverse flow of time, but the world in front of Uchiha Fugaku changed from illusion to reality. Is this the pupil technique of your eyes? It's really a powerful illusion. Uchiha Fugaku said, looking at the middle-aged Uchiha opposite. His heart was solemn. I was seen through, but it's nothing. No. Before the middle-aged ninja finished speaking, Uchiha Fugaku interrupted directly. After he finished speaking, the picture in front of him changed again. This time, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was the middle-aged man, who was stabbing the kunao in his hand fiercely into his heart. Ding! Ding ding ding! Holding a kunao and fighting with the opponent quickly, Uchiha Fugaku was horrified, but he remained calm, or even calmer. He kept scanning the illusions around him while feeling the opponent's attack. It's still an illusion. At a certain moment, Uchiha Fugaku spoke again, and as he spoke, the world broke again, and time seemed to go back to the moment when he found out that the opponent had killed Uchiha Linhuo. Illusion. Illusion. It's still an illusion. Shatter, shatter, shatter. The world in front of Uchiha Fugaku was broken again and again. These were illusions, illusions beyond illusions, as if there was no end. After the illusions were constantly cracked but failed to be cracked, Uchiha Fugaku realized. The opponent's Mangekaya Sharingan eye technique was an endless illusion. Then, the last time, Uchiha Fugaku spoke, and the world in front of him did not change. The middle-aged man who covered his eyes opposite showed a look of astonishment. Are you still deceiving me? Break it for me. Crack. The world was broken. But Uchiha Fugaku's face remained cold. In that case, let's see who has stronger mental power. He spoke, having seen through the essence of the eye technique. This was an illusion that was constantly generated and destroyed as his thoughts changed, endless and endless. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.